kids. It's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML podcast. I am your host, Joe. Joining as usual, Cole. How are you doing?
I almost got choked on my airhead because I tried to swallow it real fast before we started. So I didn't have my mouth full. And that was a dumb thing to do.
I'm so very proud of you.
I mean, at least I survived it.
You did, which is
hurts.
That's a step up from previous attempts, I guess.
It is a step up from most weeks for me.
Anyway, as you can hear by the added laughter in the background, we are being joined by guest Tom Sharpe of Gossamer Games. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing awesome. Thank you all so much for having me.
Did I get your name right?
Yeah, you sure did.
Okay, because last episode, we had someone on. The name was spelled Jamie, and it was spelled Jaime, and I was an asshole and said it wrong.
Joe, you forgot to hit the fucking button and turn on the stream.
Oh, the podcast layout. Whatever. You could still hear us. They're going to
riot in chat. We're supposed to be professionals. You went through the effort of making a command.
I did.
But you don't hit the fucking button.
That's a really good command, though.
It is a good command. Do you want to tell us what the command is about?
Yes, the command is a command in our chat for a brand new game from Gossamer Games called Soul. And Tom, you're here to talk about it. So if our listeners don't know what Soul is, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Soul is our debut game. We've been working on it for way too long. Right about like 5 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Almost 5 years. We started in college, graduated, went through this whole process. But anyway, the game is kind of this abstract adventure game. We're really inspired by games like Journey and Flower. Just all the work from like That Game Company and Giant Squid and kind of like these more abstract adventure games. And in the game, you're playing as this tiny ball of light, painting with light. So everything starts out totally dark, and we drop you in and let you explore. And as you're exploring, you're going through and lighting up everything around you. And once you light it up, it stays lit up the entire game. So it's kind of like you're painting with light as you're exploring.
It reminded me a lot of De Blob when I was playing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you're painting everything.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't played that.
God damn it, Cole. We've gone over this.
It. I'm sorry.
Not doing your homework.
We had we looked at just a ton of different games. We looked at De Blob. The Unfinished Swan was like another really big inspiration. Just trying to figure out like the technology. Because I mean, for us, like that was one of the biggest things. Is we knew like from the very beginning that this whole premise of like painting with light, and we had no idea like how to do that. And so we tried to find like as many games that had that type of dynamic in there. So that was definitely one of them.
Nice. You mentioned
the game has. Oh, go ahead.
No, you. Go ahead. You.
No, you done did it. God damn it. No. Yeah, the game has a a very distinct art style with the low poly watercolor effect. How did you guys settle on that for a game where you paint with light?
Oh my God. That was probably like the hardest thing about this project. One of the hardest things. Everything was hard about it. But I'd say like the art style was really difficult. We didn't finalize the art style until probably like a year ago. So like it took us 4 years to try and figure out like how to do all that stuff. And so the game started out like this very low poly aesthetic, but it was very simple and kind of crisp graphics. And we were really, again, inspired by games like Journey and Abzu. But we noticed that like in like games like Monument Valley, for instance, have this really refined low poly aesthetic that's very simple and very clean and really gorgeous. But we realized that we were just not good enough to do that and to do it well enough. And so we said, let's try and do something like kind of different than that, because it seems like every indie game is trying to go for that aesthetic right now, like this low poly, like very clean, like crisp graphic style. And so we said, what if we went like kind of the opposite direction. Instead of very crisp and clean, what if we did something like very blurry and dreamy and kind of hypnotic? And so that took like a lot of time to kind of develop all the technology for. But the great thing is it's all just on the camera. And so we actually didn't have to change too many of our actual assets in the game. We could just kind of like put it on like an Instagram filter and kind of like have this like nice watercolor effect to it. But yeah, I mean, that took like a really, really long time and a lot of iteration.
But like an Instagram filter.
As a watercolorist, I'm a little disappointed to hear it was a fucking filter.
I mean, listen, that is, I mean, I don't know if y'all have been following like the Stadia news, the Google Stadia stuff. But I was at GDC when they were kind of talking about it and announcing it. And one of the big features of that whole platform for developers is basically this, where it's actually using like neural networking and all these crazy things where it can take like a painting and match the artistic style of it. By going through like the neural net, like we're looking at like the strokes and the contours and all these things, and then creating like basically these filters that you can put onto your game. So I really think that is one of the big emerging technologies that we're going to start seeing. So
wow,
get used to it.
It's crazy what technology can do.
I like the idea of games with more traditional art worked in, and that traditional art technique, but God damn it, does it really have to be a filter? You know, I spent 4 years getting better at watercolor. And now y'all are just like, oh, we just pushed a button. Now we're
Yeah.
The artist is taking this so personally.
I'm offended.
I love it. Oh, Cole, you're the best.
I know.
So you mentioned the idea for this started 5 years ago. Where did it come from? Where did it begin?
Oh, so there's a bunch of different parts to that. I like all my ideas. I kind of get it just from like a dream. For some reason, I have like these like super visceral dreams that I wake up and I'm like, wow, that was like really profound, and just kind of speaks to like where I am emotionally and kind of the things going on in my life. And so I woke up one day from a dream where I was kind of struck by this idea of waking up, but there being no sun, and just trying to imagine like how people would respond and just kind of that weird melancholy feeling that would go with that. And so that was kind of like the very, very, very first spark of inspiration, and that kind of led to this idea that, well, what if you're playing as a sun and kind of going through and painting with light? So that's where it originally came from, and then I went and found a team at my college, Drexel University, and they had this really cool, I actually went there for game design, and so I was surrounded by like these super talented artists and programmers and musicians and all these people, and so we sat down and tried to figure out what type of game we'd want to create, and we were kind of constrained because the program that we were going through was limited to just working on mobile games at the time, and so all of us hated mobile games because, you know, they tend to be like super shallow and kind of predatory with like their monetization and all these things. And so we said, well, what would be like a mobile game that we'd actually want to play? And so again, we talked about kind of our inspirations from Journey and Flower and all these things. And we said, well, what if we created a game on mobile that basically was kind of in the same vein as those? And so we started talking about a bunch of different ideas, and I actually have like a list of all the ideas we had on a whiteboard, but one of them was just like ball of light painting with light, and that seemed to just have the most potential, and so we kind of started prototyping with it, and the game started out completely different. It was going to be this top-down like mobile strategy game where it was kind of the same premise of you're going through and there's this fog of war that you're kind of clearing as you're exploring, but it was resource based, so you only had so much light before you kind of ran out and your little ball like extinguished, but as we were kind of playing with that, we played for that, maybe like a year, I'd want to say, of just prototyping as this top down kind of weird resource exploration game. And we realized that like it wasn't having kind of like the emotional response that we wanted. And so the first thing we did is we took the camera from like a top-down perspective and put it over the shoulder. And that completely, first of all, changed the entire game, because we had to then go and change all the programming, all the camera controls, all the game assets, all the systems we'd created had to be completely scrapped.
So like starting from the ground up.
Yeah, definitely. So we kind of like completely burnt everything down and just restarted from scratch. But as soon as we had moved that camera down kind of over the shoulder, it just had that kind of intimacy that we were kind of lacking before. And so it became this completely different game, but it was also so much closer to what we had all envisioned. But then, that introduced a billion new problems about, how do you do control schemes on mobile with like this full 3D adventure? How do you do the like light up fog technology? Because before we were just doing Fog of War, it's, top down. There's kind of like a precedence for that. But now we have to do it like in this 3D space where you're not only like lighting things up on the ground, but it's like the walls around you and just kind of doing this 3D effect, which we had not really seen in a game before. And so, yeah, that kind of completely changed everything. But it also just made it kind of kickstarted everything and made the game what it is today.
That's really cool. It's crazy to hear how games can change through development, going from top down to behind the back. I can't even begin to imagine, like, was there resistance when you suggested going behind the back, where the other guy's like, are you fucking kidding? Like, we worked on this for a year and you want to scrap and start over? Was there any resistance, or was everyone kind of on board like, yeah, this is the better idea?
I think it was one of those things where we were kind of like really losing steam, because there's, I think, just like a lot of frustration of, we have this idea that we really wanted to do and it's just not coming through for some reason. And, we had tried a few different experiments, but within like the mechanics and the presentation and all these things, but it just wasn't dramatic enough. And so we said, you know what? If we're going to make this game, or we're going to spend all this time doing it, we might as well make the game we really want to make with it. And so, yeah, we kind of burned everything down and just kind of went from there.
I just like that you're calling it burning it down.
You do. You have to throw it all away.
I just think of Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle when they pull up to the other restaurant. He's like, let's burn this motherfucker down, Pookie.
Yeah, basically the exact same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to like imagine the game that I played as a Fog of War strategy, and I can't do it. Like I can't. Do you ever feel like you'd like to go back and try to make that game again?
Definitely not. No, I mean, I think I still actually. Oh man! So we did a Kickstarter. A little bit after graduation that kind of kept the production going and helped us finish. And in that, I think the last update I did when the campaign was going is I actually had like all the old builds, and I had like a video playthrough of that prototype. And I looked at it recently because we were going through and kind of like compiling everything that we've done since the very, very beginning of development. And it was crazy to see just how far we've come as artists and developers and just as creators. Because I think we spent so long just trying to figure out what we wanted to make. Because it was all so fuzzy. Like we had this basic premise, but then you have to like figure out how you're going to create the world and how you're going to populate it, and then to do that, you have to figure out the story behind it. And I think it just took us a really long time to try and figure out exactly what we wanted to make. And kind of the further we got into development, the closer and closer I think we kind of refined that lens. And so, yeah, I think we've pretty much said everything I'd want to say with the current version of the game. So I don't think there's really anything I'd want to go and explore that we didn't get to explore in production.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely like super ready to move on. After like 5 years,
and it will
I'm
not
like
be a strategy.
Not a strategy game. I am like so ready to move on to a completely different project. So,
what other ideas do you have in mind?
God damn it, Joe!
Listen,
I have about 1 billion. I have a game design. Like a list of game design ideas that are like a paragraph each or whatever. I think it's up to like 26 pages. And so I have a lot to choose from. I have a few that I definitely know I want to kind of continue like in the immediate future. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is really important about this project for us is, so as our first game, full retail console, whatever game. And so we learned so much, not only like as developers and programmers and artists and just like the actual process of getting your game out there, but also just like as creatives and trying to figure out who we wanted to be as artists and what we wanted to say with the medium. And so I feel like I have a much stronger sense of direction in terms of like what Gossamer Games is and like what our DNA and identity is. So I'm really excited to kind of move into the next project, because I think that's really going to start kind of solidifying who we are as a studio.
Carnage suggested Soul Battle Royale.
Yo, it's so interesting that we've had so many people just at conventions, at PAX, at MAGFest, and just tons of different places who have all said they'd love like a multiplayer mode. And I'm like, that is so interesting. That is something, I mean, I think they were talking about it in the way that like Journey has a multiplayer, like a Dark Souls or something like that, where it's a little bit more indirect. But yeah, that's so interesting, because for us, like the game is so personal and like so intimate. But we've had actually like a surprising amount of people like seriously suggest that we do like these multiplayer modes, which is really interesting.
I hate Carnage. He said 100 go in, a Soul person leaves.
Ah, perfect.
When are you gonna let me ban him?
I don't know. It's coming.
Now I have to give a shout out though, to our friend Carnage, because the game, I said we learned a lot about launching games and launching on Xbox and all these things. And one lesson that we learned is how to mistakenly launch your game like a month early on Xbox.
I saw that.
Which I didn't know was possible. But thankfully, Carnage jumped in and got us in contact with the right people at ID at Xbox, and we kind of worked things out. But yeah, we've definitely learned a lot over these past few weeks.
So what happened there anyway?
So what happened was we had just finished. We were so excited. I was so excited because we had just gone through and completed certification, which for us was like a really big deal, because cert is like this really big challenging thing for new developers. You have to go through and just make sure that your game is up to the standards of all the Xbox requirements. So making sure all the achievements work, the saving works, all the controllers work.
I hate to interrupt you, but given how much shit we play on a regular basis, I'm always surprised when I hear people talk about the certification process.
It is. It was. So the funniest thing that we learned was we had failed actually a few times going through cert, just for like various like really small reasons, like our Unity version wasn't like at the right update, it wasn't like the right version, and just really small things like this. But the last time we had failed was because we had used in our menu, we have like a setting for controller vibration, and we used the word like toggle rumble. And they're like, no, you can't say rumble. That is like against the rules. You can't do it. You have to say vibration.
Weird.
And so then we had to go through.
Because I think PlayStation has Rumble back.
Yeah, and I'm sure probably like Nintendo has like HD Rumble or whatever it is. So
yeah,
it's probably like a legal thing. But then that starts the whole process of you have to wait and resubmit, and then wait a few more days, and it has to go through the whole process. So, but we had just finished. We had finally gotten it right. We had just finished certification, kind of like right on our schedule that we had internally, and we were in the process of like setting the actual release date, because now that we had an actual build that was certified, we could push that up to the store. People could, if we had set up pre-orders, they would be able to download that, just kind of like preload the game and all these things. And so we're really happy to get that up there. And we were talking back and forth with Xbox about the release date. And it just kind of came down to like a few different things, us just being new developers, some miscommunication, and then also just like a bug in the interface where when we had gone through and like resubmitted to actually push it to the store, it reset our release date to be like as soon as possible.
No.
And so as soon as we hit that button to like kind of like preload it up to the store and like set up our store page and all these things, which was supposed to be private until like the game launched, it just immediately went live. And the way that I found out was I got an email from the International Age Rating Coalition, I think it is. It's who kind of manages now the ratings for ESRB, PEGI, all these things. Developers can fill it up themselves and instead of having to go through each outlet. And so I got an email from them, and it said, "Oh, hey, we noticed your game is like now on this new storefront. We just want to give you a reminder of like all the rules and regulations for using our logos and all these things." And I said, "Wait a minute. Are you sure about that? Like, maybe the store page is up, but like no one can see it, something like that. Maybe it's like this automated thing." And sure enough, we went and looked it up, and it was right there. And there was a really, really long night of our team just discovering that our game was like available for download. This thing that we'd been working on and like just planning very carefully up to launch for like 4 years was suddenly out like a month early. And yeah, that was a long night.
Is that basically just your whole team sitting there fanning their faces going, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck"?
Yes.
I was just going to ask, how many new curse words did you learn that night or invent?
I was just like in such a state of disbelief. And also like I was just kind of like laughing. I was like, well, like here it is. I don't know like what else to do right now. So yeah, it was this super surreal experience. I mean, thankfully we took care of it really quickly. But it was really bad because we had just finished talking with the Xbox people. It was like 4:30 p.m. or something California time. And so they were all like heading out, and it was Friday. So they were all like heading out for the weekend, and it was just going to be up there. And there was like no one, we didn't really have like a direct person that we could contact directly. So yeah, I mean, thankfully, we got in touch with Carnage, who had a direct contact to someone at ID at Xbox, and we got that taken care of. But yeah, that was definitely a big lesson that we learned on launch.
Making Carnage earn that community captain title.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I remember Carnage saying, "Hey, did you see this new game went live?" And I was like, "I saw that at MAGFest the other year. I didn't know it was out yet." And I sent you an email. It's like, "Hey, I saw you at MAGFest. I figure I'd invite you on the show, see how things are going." And you're like, we didn't mean to launch the game."
Yeah.
Just about that. Love it. Do you know how many people bought the game while it was out there? Because I know Carnage did.
Yeah, only like a really, really small handful. Like less than 5, I'd say. Yeah, it was really, really small. Because I mean, there was no promotion behind it. Like we hadn't even put out the trailer or anything. So like the only way that you could find it, I think, was just like going on the store and seeing it like immediately. And then it was pulled just like a few hours after that. So
I assume that the other 4 people Carnage probably told. And was like,
maybe
go get
so.
this real quick. Go get it before it's gone.
So I know one of them was like our programmer, and then one of them was like one of our family members. But then we saw, there were a few people who were like talking about like getting the achievements on like the achievement forums, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh shit.
If y'all just like wait a little bit, I promise it's going to be a whole, because I mean, the game was all there. Like to pass certification, it's just all your content has to be there. So it was all there. You could play through it start to finish. Everything was working. It was just like half the soundtrack was like placeholder assets and like a lot of like placeholder visual assets. And yeah, so we really, really had to like update that before people could play it, because our poor composer, he's in the chat now, I think, but he spent so long on this soundtrack, and then people were out there playing it with like half the soundtrack.
Oh man. So I assume that was just a crazy situation in general on all sides.
Yeah, but I mean, we learned a whole lot. We learned to like definitely not hit that one button that like reset a release date. we learned just like how to get in contact with the right people. So yeah, it was all good learning experiences.
That's good to hear. I mentioned that I met you at MAGFest. Have you been to MAGFest since? Do you enjoy MAGFest? Are you going back anytime soon?
Yeah, so we went, I think I met you not this past MAGFest, but the year before that.
Yep.
And I think that was our first MAGFest. And then we did go again this year, at the beginning of this year. Same thing, just had like our couch and the rug and the whole kind of setup.
I didn't see you guys. I must have missed you.
Yeah, I feel like it was so much bigger this year. There were so many games. But yeah, we were there this year and just kind of showing off, I think, like the first 3 levels instead of just the first one. And so, yeah, we had a really good time again. We did apply to get back to MAGFest next year, but we actually applied with a different game that we haven't really talked about or said anything about.
Anything you're able to say?
I can say it is a VR game. And
that means we ain't getting it.
But it is completely different than Soul. It is kind of like the exact opposite direction, which is really exciting. So
you know what's gonna happen though. Joe is gonna eat Burger King and then lose it, just like he did playing
Oh
Soul.
God! I knew you would bring this
knew I
up.
wasn't gonna let that go.
I knew you weren't. Oh. Yeah, I might as well. I'll admit to it. I have motion sickness. I was playing Soul before the show, playing a little bit more of it, and I got sick.
Yeah.
I lost my Burger King.
Oh man, it's a good burger. Yeah, I mean that's something we've definitely heard. I mean, motion sickness in games is so hard, especially like 3D like movement stuff. Yeah, I mean, especially with VR, that's one thing we're really looking at. Thankfully, the VR game that we're working on now is like completely stationary, so you like don't really have to move around at all, and your character doesn't move around. So it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I know motion sickness is really rough.
It happens. I'm used to it. It's
I didn't
life.
have any problems with motion sickness, but I did definitely appreciate that you guys included sensitivity settings for the camera. Usually in an indie like this, where you're like just controlling something to explore the world, and with a camera for like a walk exploration game, as we call them, you have more likely to like have camera sensitivity and stuff. But I definitely didn't expect to find it in Soul, and then when it was there, I was like, oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, thank you for the invert camera too, because a lot of indies forget that.
Yeah.
Invert's awful.
Yeah, and a lot of that actually came from the game. I said, we again just launched it on Xbox and Steam and all these things, but as of like maybe 3 years ago, it was still only playable on iOS and Android. So it was actually designed, like all the controls, all the camera stuff was actually designed for mobile. And so that's a lot of the reasons we had a lot of those parameters already built in. So like the sensitivity we actually had tied with like the gyro for the phone tilting. So we had to have like all those settings built in. And that actually just scaled really nicely for consoles and controllers and things like that.
I'm impressed. I wouldn't have thought that would have been built in for mobile. I don't play mobile games.
Yeah.
Mobile games and arthritis are not friends. No thanks. We barely managed the Xbox controller, so that's one of the reasons that I was like, sensitivity setting, yes, because they're not there often, and they're important for accessibility for people like me.
Yeah, and one of the things we played around with talking about like controls and camera things is for the longest time, and even I want to say like maybe like even just a few months ago, we had an option for disabling the vertical camera controls, because one thing we've noticed is we really want this game to be like super accessible, because we've taken it to tons of different events where we attract a lot of people who they don't consider themselves gamers or like don't play a lot of games, and so controls are really hard, and especially like the twin stick, like moving with one stick and then like looking around with the other is so hard for people who don't play games. Yeah. But we realized that actually the hardest part about that for most people who aren't familiar with the controls, they understand like the movement with the joystick, like that's totally fine, and they can rotate the camera in one axis. And so like if it's just, and usually what people do is they kind of like use one stick to like move around, and then when they need to adjust, they kind of like tap the stick to kind of rotate it around them. But that gets all messed up if it's they end up like looking at the ground or looking at the sky, or they get like really turned around when there's two axes. And so we realized that if we just disabled that, makes the game a whole lot more accessible, because it introduces these controls to new players in a way that feels a little bit more intuitive. But we realized that kind of broke the game, because there are a few sections in there where you're actually like swimming underwater, or flying through the air, where you actually need to like look up and down to kind of control your movement. So we never really figured out a solution for that. But I think as we kind of keep moving forward with like mobile development and things like this, we'll kind of keep experimenting with that, because I think that's a really big goal for us, is making the game as accessible as possible.
Have you considered adding any kind of option to change the distance the camera is behind the light? I would have loved to have the camera back just a little bit more.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we've talked about a whole lot. So cameras, just from like a developer perspective, some dev insight, 3D cameras, I should say, are the hardest thing that you could ever do, like in game development. They're so hard, and especially camera collisions. And you'll notice that the camera collisions in Soul are like a little rough. We're very aware that, the camera can kind of go flying in all different directions if it like hits something. But yeah, I mean, the hardest thing I think for us about the camera was we were really surprised about how much the camera affected the sense of movement. And that was a really interesting realization for us, because we realized that when the camera is closer to you, it feels like you're moving faster, because the sense of scale kind of changes around you. And then when you pull the camera back, it feels like you're going slower. And the same when you're changing like field of view. And so we experimented a really, really long time trying to figure out like what is the right balance between trying to make things feel like the right scale versus having like the right sense of speed and movement. And so, yeah, that was something we kind of went back and forth on. Definitely one thing I'd be interested in experimenting with that might actually solve that is having, and I know this is really common, I guess more in first-person games, but having like an FOV slider, because that also kind of changes the perception of distance, and so it makes it feel like your camera is pulled further back. And so, but yeah, I mean, that's, cameras are like one of the hardest things in game development for sure.
Yeah, that's every 3D game that we talk about on this show. There's always camera issues. You're never going to have a perfect camera in a 3D game. It's just impossible. Well, I know we've been chatting about the game for a while. You gave us 3 giveaway codes, and we did a giveaway. Okay. I figure there's 3 codes to give away. There's 3 of us. We could each pick a winner.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of that?
That sounds awesome to me.
Awesome. We posted on Twitter and asked you to send us an email telling us why you want the game. Our 3 favorites are going to win. The first email is from Aaron Truesdell, who says, Hey, I'm writing in for the Soul giveaway. I've had the privilege of seeing this game grow into what it is today, working in the same lab as our good friend Tom several times over the course of my 4 years of undergrad. I so badly want Soul, but I'm on that grad student grind right now, so I'm writing to you. Here's the creative portion of this whole shebang in the form of a fun fact. I designed Tom's business cards by accident. We were joking around in the lab one day about his all-white visual aesthetic when I made a 2-minute scribble and joked, Hey, Tom, wouldn't it be weird if your business cards look like this? Then he designed the real version and got them printed. The absolute madman. Tom's passion, excitement, and willingness to dive into stuff that's just downright weird is an inspiration. Stay gritty, Aaron. So we'll write down.
Oh man, I wish I had that image accessible somewhere. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if you've seen me in person, like at events or whatever, I wear partially to like help stand out kind of in the crowd, and just partially because I think it looks cool. But like I wear this all white outfit, and I have like these crazy like huge white glasses, and it looks a little bit like people say it looks like the Willy Wonka scene, like the new one, or maybe it's the old one where like they're going into the TV and they're all like wearing the all white thing and the crazy glasses. It's pretty much that, but in real life. And so, yeah, we were trying to design a business card. I hate business cards. I think they're like the worst. And so I said, I'm just going to like stick my face on this and that'll be it. And I did. And that was all her idea. So
nice. Well, the next email is from BX Latino Heat, who's hanging out in chat, who says, good evening to the SML podcast family. Soul is a captivating game that truly caught my attention. I've always viewed myself as being a positive light to help people stay on a positive track. Soul is just that, being a ball of light and illuminating the dark civilizations you must explore and even discover uninhabited worlds with the thing I enjoy the most, the music. I can picture myself gliding through those dark worlds, giving it light with the soothing music is an awesome way to enjoy this game. Thanks as always for the opportunities you provide. Cheers to the SML podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. And I do want to give a quick shout out to our composer, Nabil. Nabil is like a genius. This is his first soundtrack again. And I know that I'm very biased. I'm like super, super biased. But I really do believe that Soul has one of the best video game soundtracks of the year. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put it out there. I think it's really, really, really well written. Again, especially if you're into the soundtracks for like Journey and just kind of these cinematic orchestral soundtracks. I mean, this is a really, really fantastic soundtrack. And you can find it like on Spotify and all that stuff if you're interested. So
it's on Bandcamp.
Yeah, big shout out to our composer. Yeah, it's on Bandcamp. I think on Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, I think Tidal. It's like on all of the different platforms.
The soundtrack actually come up during the review, and I told Joe after, I was like, I feel like garbage because I was like, there was only a couple of songs on the soundtrack. And he's like, no, there's 14. I looked it up, and I'm like, oh. And what I realized had happened was the songs just kind of flow together so well, and that like I was so zoned out while playing that I was just like, oh, I didn't pick up when the songs were changing because they were just so much part of the atmosphere. That's good sound design. That was me fucking up on the review. That was. And
no, that's awesome.
Like, I told him after the show, I was like, well, I feel like shit because after you said it, I realized what I'd done. That's not the first time I fucked up on a soundtrack like that.
Yeah.
But that is good sound design when it like just flows into the game to the point that you almost don't recognize. Like you notice if it weren't there.
Yeah.
But the point of a soundtrack is it shouldn't overwhelmingly like stand out from the game so that it feels awkward or weird. The fact that it was so much just a part of the world that I was like, oh, I only even noticed it a couple of times, like when it would phase to a different song, that I thought there were only two.
That's awesome to hear.
Really good.
Yeah. No, and you know, that's something we spent a very, very long time. I mean, Nabil worked again on the soundtrack for probably about 4 years. And it took a really, really long time kind of going back and forth, not only with the actual like orchestration and the music composition, but also the integration, because we really wanted to make sure that it was kind of the seamless thing where there weren't hard cuts, there weren't obvious transitions. And so every time we sat down and designed a level, we tried to figure out what are the points in which the soundtrack is going to kind of respond to the player's actions. And then going through and using all these tools to kind of make this seamless transition where instruments fade in and melodies fade in and out based on where you are in the level and what you're doing. So it's great to hear that came across as seamless as we were hoping. You did a really good job, and I'm sorry I fucked that up last week. But no, that's a great compliment.
But it's the thing about Soul is that it is one of those games where you just get lost in it. You've told a story without any words, and it's all emotional, and that soundtrack plays into that. And if you do it right, you should just get lost in it. And you guys did that very well.
Oh, thank you.
All right, next email is from Aroto Tomato, who says, been a while, Mr. J. How's my pudding doing? I love atmospheric games with beautiful soundtracks, especially when I'm doing my taxes. Lord knows you need a peaceful getaway when taxes are involved. Send Eternal a hug and a kiss for me, will ya? So, needs peace for taxes. Let's write that down.
Yeah.
Next one is from Dark Mika is on Fire, who is also hanging out in chat and is going to be on in a little bit. She says, hey, Joe and Cole and the other people they've blackmailed to be on the show today. I'd like Soul because I sold my soul to the devil for a Kit Kat bar when I was a kid. That is Soul. That was Soul. They're close enough. It could be a nice little replacement. And because I know you guys like weird little facts and like talking about dicks so much, flatworms sword fight with their dicks. The one that
I knew that.
The one that loses gets knocked up. You can never bleach your brain enough to get rid of that.
I already knew that. You're slacking, Aki. I already had that one on tap.
I don't think I'm going to be Google imaging that one. I think I'm going to hold off on that one.
Next email is from Jordan Phipps, also hanging out in chat. How you doing, Jordan? Says, hey, SML crew, not a single soul should have to be sold on Soul. Oh my God, so many soul puns. Just one look at the trailer. Just one look at the trailer showing the light and dark color contrast solely sells Soul. With so many new games releasing each week, it's so hard to buy and play everything. I would love to be one of your 3 contest winners because I know Pennsylvania makes good gaming podcasts. Now I got to see how they do indies. Thanks for the consideration, Jordan.
Yeah,
that was
a big shout out because
ass sucking right there. Stop banning you twice.
Hey, I'm a sucker for it. I got to give a shout out to everyone in PA and everyone in Philly, especially because there aren't many devs in PA or in Philly. So yeah, big shout out to all you guys.
All right. Next email from John Prodlau, who says, Dear SML Podcast, first off, thank you for the opportunity to win a copy of Soul from Gossamer Games. Soul is a gorgeous looking game. I love adventure games that involve exploration and discovery, especially games where you get to play as a ball of light. Who doesn't like balls? Who doesn't like dick jokes? Who doesn't like light illuminating new areas in a video game world? I want to experience this game with its stunning visuals and great atmospheric music. It looks like the type of game that would draw you in and let you get lost in a dark imaginative world. I'm glad they chose an orb ball of light to represent the game instead of a shoe. A shoe wouldn't make any sense. What does the light represent? Where did it come from? Does the light ever get trapped? Is there a clapper that allows you to turn the light on and off? Does the light come with its own backup generator? Is the light actually a super monkey ball carrying a cell phone with a flashlight app? I look forward to hearing what the game director has to say about this game. Did they get any inspiration from the game watching Coming to America? Just let your soul glow. Just let your soul glow. I mean, it's a glowing ball of light, right? Or is it solely like the French might, or soleil like the French might pronounce? Oh, God damn it. These are all questions and random thoughts in my head.
Nobody gets a code. That's it. We're done.
That
Hang
must
up,
be
go on to
answered. And I'm anxious to hear more about the inspiration for the game. Just let your soul glow. Thanks again.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Fucking fuck all y'all.
There is so much to unpack there.
I don't know how to sum that up.
I've got Cotton Eye Joe stuck in my head now because of the where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
What a classic.
I don't know how to sum that one up in just like 3 or 4 words.
Cotton Eye Joe.
I mean, one thing I can say is it was definitely like super intentional. I mean, so I'll back up and say that I said that everything before is like the hardest thing in the world when you're trying to make games. One of the hardest things was trying to come up with our studio name of Gossamer Games. And we had like a giant spreadsheet of like a ton of different games, or I should say different names. And we'd gone through and like kind of just went through and found that all of them were taken by like random YouTube channels or just kind of random like online things. A domain was taken, whatever. And so we kind of went down the list and eventually gave up and like went on like the dictionary.com site and was like, what are like the most the most beautiful words in the English dictionary? And like Gossamer was one of them, so we chose that one. But that ties in with the name Soul because that name was actually like so easy. I think like we discovered that name maybe like a few months into development, and we never changed it. It was always spelled exactly like that. And it was cool because that, for us, like that word there are like 4, I mean, you can spell it like a billion different ways, but all of them have like a meaning that kind of ties in with what we were trying to say with the game. Because if you take off the E, then it kind of makes sense with what we're trying to do. If you like spell like a soul, like SOUL, it kind of makes sense. If you interpret it as like a foot or like kind of interpreting like walking or kind of journeying, it kind of fits in. So like all of the definitions actually kind of tie in like this really weird way that we didn't even realize or expect. And so yeah, it's really cool. Like, I mean, just hearing all the puns, like they all like kind of fit in. They all kind of work with what we were trying to go for with the game. So that was like a really happy accident.
Nabil saying he wanted to get rid of the E.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is when you have a name that's just like one word for your game, it's also really hard to like reserve spaces on storefronts and things like that. And so we tried like a few different variations too. But yeah, so I know Nabil wanted to get rid of the E, and that totally makes sense again with kind of the thematic things we have in the game.
Oh, man. All right. Next email is from Malinka B, who says, "Hello, Joseph." Oh, shit. "Hello, Joseph. This is your mother reaching out to enter this contest to win Soul for your lovely niece, Aubrey, and me, of course. No pressure, but I did give birth to you, my dear son. Love, Mom."
Wow.
That's so good.
There's no way you cannot pick them.
Wow, Mom.
That's incredible.
Oh, damn. Final email is from Root Beer is My Jam, also in chat, who says, "I deserve a copy of this game because despite having a very slow internet connection and no functioning computer at the moment, I remain to be a loyal listener by experience the podcast live from my phone for nearly every episode, just like when I was 8 years old, sneaking in bed with my handheld 4-inch rabbit-eared TV set under my blankets to watch International Championship Wrestling or the Montreal Canadiens way past my bedtime. I also deserve a copy because often enough, Joe will put a code up on the stream on screen, but I never see it because I only listen to audio version, and my eyesight isn't that great to begin with. This is a classic example of ableism, folks."
Hey, look, I'm the most disabled podcaster around. My fucking fingers are crooked.
Oh, as for when keys are dropped in chat, well, I'm on my phone and have zero chances of figuring out the missing numbers, and switching apps disconnects me from Twitch and the stream. This is also a clear case of ableism. Thirdly, I deserve a copy of Soul because with my top-notch investigative skills, in part with a tip from Antifa, ladies and gentlemen, I have received proof that there is a global conspiracy involving the user known as BX Latino Heat, who up until now has been flying under the radar for some mystery reason, that they always seem to get all the codes during live streams. If my demands are not met, I shall start a protest every Thursday outside SML headquarters by myself with a little sign that simply says #Thursdays for codes until a journalist passes by, puts my black and white photo of my pitiful crippled ass on Instagram, and next thing you know, just like Greta Thunberg, millions will be inspired worldwide to march for gamer justice.
Wow.
I will become the poster child for disabled gamers across the world. The alt-right will harass me, send death threats to my family, and murals of me will be defaced. In defiance, I will instruct my supporters to fund the SML podcast Patreon, since I am compassionate after all, but this will further confuse my alt-right enemies, and they will redirect their efforts of hate and their terror attacks on you and your 42 cats. So is this what you want, Joe? No? Well then, why take the chance? Holy shit.
So it's between that and your mom.
I fucking love you guys and hate you guys all at the same time.
Do you have more codes to give away? Because I'm going to have a hard time picking one.
Yeah, I mean, this is... Wow. This is really hard.
So let's recap.
I don't know.
Let's recap. We have Aaron, who made your business cards.
Yes.
We have BX Latino, who is a positive soul and loves the music.
But is admittedly been outed as a giveaway whore by Root.
Arodo needs peace for taxes. Mika talks about flatworm dicks. Jordan says PA makes good indies. John says the ball is not a shoe. My mom gave birth to me, and Root Beer has threats.
Oh my God.
Cole, who's your pick?
I here's the thing, like, I was hoping I'd go last, and I was hoping you would suck it up and give one to your mom, because like moms got to stick together, right? And so I'm inclined, but also like Root Beer is my fellow Antifa warrior brother, and I have to support him too. I can't be having a show I'm on called Ableist. That's just completely backwards. Next, he's gonna say I'm not effeminate. Fuck.
Man, this is a hard one. Holy hell.
I'm rolling with root beer as my winner.
All
But
right,
you
so-
gotta toe the road for your mom, man. She birthed you.
Mhm.
Oh man, Tom, who's your winner?
I mean, oh, this is really hard. Wow.
This all the time.
I mean, if it helps at all, I can totally give one to your mother. That sounds like a super deserving home for the code. I would definitely go with that.
All right, and then we got one more. I really liked Erin's. The fact that she made your business cards,
She did, yeah.
and she's a struggling student.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Erin, my mom, and root beer is my jam are our 3 winners. My fucking mom won. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Apologies to everyone else.
Look,
There were-
if you had given birth to either of us, you would have been all right. But no. You had to go and do something else 30 some odd years ago. Sucks to be you.
Oh my god, those were good.
Those
Those were good
yeah.
entries. Holy shit.
Wow.
This is why I miss doing email contests. We never get enough codes to do email contests. Thankfully, we finally had enough to do one. Oh man. I miss doing
Yeah, those
these.
were fantastic.
That was so good.
Oh man. Anyway, I know we've been chatting for quite a while. Is there anything you wanted to talk about the game that we didn't bring up?
Ooh, I mean, I guess one thing that really few people will pick up on if they haven't heard it from the development team or from us specifically is, so the story is kind of like very, very abstract. And I can talk a little bit about that because I think it's supposed to be abstract, but I think having some context might be interesting for some people. So in the game, there is this collection of glyphs that you can collect that correspond to the English alphabet. And so as you're going through, I think each level has like 4 or 5 different letters that you can collect. And once you collect them all, you can kind of unlock the alphabet and start understanding and reading the messages all throughout the game. And in those messages, kind of like a spoiler, we took the approach of actually using that as like a developer diary. And so it's written kind of not in first person, but from like us as developers actually speaking about the game and the development process and the creative process. And we decided to do that for the game's kind of central meta narrative that we have going on for it, because the game itself is kind of this, I'd say it's like this kind of allegory for our own creative process. And so in the game, you're going through and playing as this ball of light where everything starts out totally dark, and you're going through and exploring and discovering the world around you and illuminating things and just kind of figuring things out around you and transforming them and watching things grow. And that's actually kind of like the exact emotional experience that we were having as the creators, as the developers making the game, where going into the project, we had no idea what we wanted to make or how to make it or who we wanted to be as artists or creators or developers. And kind of over the course of the game, we started getting this clearer sense of what we wanted to do with it. And so in this really weird way, the game itself is kind of like the story is this meta commentary on its actual development, which is this really weird kind of meta approach to storytelling in games. But everything we designed in the game is kind of meant to represent different emotional experiences that we had actually creating the game, which is really weird to kind of think about. But just kind of the basic mechanic of going through and trying to light up everything around you and discover the world around you was kind of a direct reflection of our own experiences creating the game itself. And so I can speak a lot on kind of like the story and the narrative aspect of it, but that's kind of like a weird like insider info that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't get that insight from just playing the game. But that's kind of our intent with the story.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to power through and find all the glyphs and read all of that stuff.
Yeah.
If my stomach can handle it.
Cute bucket.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty
it was
much.
crazy. So at MAGFest, Oh, I think it was this year. Yeah, it was. At MAGFest this year, MAGFest awesome because it runs like the 24 hours, it doesn't shut down. And the first time we had like a bunch of people like sleep on the couch and like spend overnight and just kind of like hang out at the booth. And this year we had a few fans come up. We had actually met the first year as well. But again, I think we were only showing like half the game or something like that. And so you could only collect like half the letters. But they sat down and somehow, I don't know how they did it, but using like only half the alphabet, they ended up translating the entire thing. By just like looking at all the messages we had in the game and kind of like translating, being like, oh, that's probably like an E. Let's try and see if we plug in an E for all those things. And they ended up working out like half the alphabet by just going through. I think one of their big things was our loading screen, which you really never see unless you're going like back and forth from the chapter select. But on there, like it says loading. So that was like a really big clue for them. But yeah, they ended up translating the entire thing, and then we went down in the morning, and they had left us like this note written in our language, which was like the craziest thing we'd ever seen.
Damn.
And so yeah, that was a really, really cool moments.
How long did it take you guys to decipher the note?
That's the funny thing is we have it like a long time ago. I just made it as like a text, like a font. So I just like type in Unity or whatever we're using. So I just like type it out, and like I never, really learned it. And so yeah, I had to like sit down with like with like my decoder and go through and try and translate it the best I could. But yeah, I mean, it was so cool seeing someone like actually spend the time to go through and decipher all of it. And the other kind of bad thing about that was this was when none of those messages were like really ever intended to be translated. So we had a lot of things in there that weren't really supposed to be seen.
Wow.
Definitely weren't final.
Like what? You got to tell us something.
I don't know if...
Please tell me there was a dick joke.
No. There's probably some cursing in there.
That's good too.
Not like, definitely not like PG rated things. But I mean, it was so long ago that I don't really remember. I think a lot just like complaining about Unity or complaining about development or, whatever it was. So, but yeah, I mean, we definitely made sure to change those prior to launch.
That's probably the good idea.
Yeah.
ESRB finds out that in the middle of the game, there's something that just says, go fuck yourself. Like, we're going to have to change the rating on this game.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, that never came up like in the rating surveys that we took. But yeah, I'm really curious like how you would rate something like that. I mean, I guess we never like directly translate those things. We just kind of like provide the key for it. So yeah, I'm really curious if that would actually be considered like as direct, like in text writing for the game. I have no idea.
Something to think about. Cole, did you have any more questions?
No, I'm good. Actually, because the whole thing with the glyphs was what I was going to ask about. And then now we got it. We're good. I like it even better when the developer just goes and I don't have to be like, hey, so I have a question, but I'm an idiot and don't know how to phrase it. It's far more fluid and sounds like we know what we're doing if you take it from there.
Oh, we suck at our jobs. Yeah. Anyway, Tom, it's been great having you on the show. It has been a pleasure. We're going to have to get you back on when your VR games are ready to go.
Absolutely. I'd love to be on again.
All right. Well, we are going to let you get going. We have a lot more show that we're going to have to take care of. So we will let you go and you can enjoy the rest of your night. One last time, give us, where can we find your game? How much is it? Where can people stay in touch with you guys? Yeah, so you can find all of our information. Twitter is like the best place, just at Gossamer Games. We're also on Facebook at Gossamer Games. You can go to gossamergames.com, and we are currently on Steam. You can buy Soul today, and we are on Steam and Xbox One at $14.99. Nice. And you can buy it now, so go buy it now. Please, yes. All right, thank you again, Tom. You have yourself a wonderful night. Awesome. Thank you all so much. All right, take care. Nice talking to you. Yep, bye. Oh, man. All right. We got more show to take care of. A lot of news this week. Are you ready to get going? Yeah, I guess. All right. First bit of news. A lot of games just came to Game Pass.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like when games come to... I
this
don't
week-
like when games come to Game Pass. You know, they actually did a Game Pass ad recently where they were like, it's our goal to keep your backlog full. And I was like, you fucker.
You sons of bitches.
Thanks, but fuck you. Yeah.
4 games launched on Game Pass this week. Or not launched on, but 4 games came to Game Pass this week. 3 of them launched to Game Pass.
Motherfuck.
3 brand new games launched direct to Game Pass this week. The 23rd, we got Secret Neighbor from Tiny Build and Lonely Mountains Downhill. Both of them launched straight to Game Pass. The 24th, we got the game Minute. And then the 25th, The Outer Worlds launched direct to Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. It's Thursday when we're recording, and I haven't played it yet, and I want to. So
I am looking for... I don't know. I probably won't have time. I can sit here and say I'm looking forward to playing anything I fucking want.
Yeah.
But Lord knows that carving out an hour to play something is not going to happen.
I still think I only have about an hour and a half in Borderlands 3. So
I don't even have that. I got to the character customization screen, and I was just like, yeah, I don't have time for this right now. And I have never gone back to it. Motherfucker.
Dark Mika asking, just freed 40 gig. How big is the Outer Wilds? This is the Outer Worlds. Big difference. 2 different games. I believe it's 17 gig on the One and on the S, and 30 something on the X, if I remember correctly.
I assume it's the placeholder that I have, right?
No, it should be the full thing.
Is it the full thing?
Should be. I mean, the game's out.
I lied. I did not install it. I thought I did.
I'll teach you.
I bet I did, and I bet David uninstalled it to make room for that bastard.
Anyway, October 29th, next week, we're getting After Party launching direct to Game Pass.
Okay.
And then on the 31st, Halloween, celebrate Halloween with Lego Star Wars 3 on the 360 on Game Pass.
Nice.
Yeah. And then November 7th, Subnautica.
Yeah. That's great that Subnautica came out on Game Pass. Subnautica is good.
Yeah. Carnage pointing out last week we had Felix the Reaper as well. So
yes.
a lot of stuff.
I haven't had time to play that yet either.
Well, Dark Mika will be talking about that in a little bit. But did you hear Bethesda's newest deal that they're doing?
Yeah.
Bethesda has announced a premium subscription service for Fallout 76 called Fallout First. So
they should have called it Fallout Fuck Up.
Yeah. So for a game that launched horribly, has been a train wreck for a year, sold poorly.
Wait,
sold poorly.
Is it out for a year already?
Close.
Really?
Didn't it come out last fall, or was it earlier this year?
Probably, but wow.
I don't remember if it was last year or earlier. It's been out for a number of months by this time. It's not doing well. People hate the game, and they're announcing a fucking subscription service. What the hell? Like
that's... And the thing about it is that it's expensive.
It is. Well,
and it doesn't give you shit.
Well, here's what it gives you. It gives you the ability to have private worlds for you and up to 7 friends. Yay. Mm-hmm. A scrap box that holds unlimited crafting components. Allegedly, there's been people reporting that they've already lost stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
Has a survival tent, which is a placeable fast travel point with a stash and a sleeping bag, which that's cool. Although that should just be in the goddamn game.
Should just be there.
Yeah. It gives you 1,650 atoms to use in the atomic shop per month. I don't know what that translates to financially. I don't know the conversion rate of atoms to cash.
Not $15.
It might be 10. I don't know. It also gives you a Ranger armor outfit and icons and emotes. The whole thing costs $13 a month or $100 for a year. And Bethesda are some greedy motherfuckers for this shit. You know, it's good to know that they delayed their Wastelanders update so they could milk their players for more money.
Here's the thing about this. We bitch a lot about multiplayer aspects of games being left out and then players being charged extra for things that should just fucking be there on launch. This is no different. And in a way, it feels a little more garbage because you shouldn't be charged extra to play single player in a full price game. Yeah. Ever. You should never be charged extra to play single player in a game, period. Look at Ark. Look at Atlas. Those were indie games that launched.
Yeah.
With very similar setup in that, you can play, in an online, always online server, or you could play. The ability to play single player is there from the jump, or to play in a private hosted, self-contained server. And yet Fallout's like, nah, we want $14 a month for that shit.
13. You gotta be fair. It's only 13, not 14.
What's it, like $12.99?
$12.99, yeah.
Okay, well then it's after tax and bullshittery, it's still $14.
Is there tax on that? I wonder.
Probably.
Maybe.
I can't imagine there wouldn't be. Like,
hey, Neko Jesse's in chat. Jesse, how you doing?
Hi.
Hope you're having a good night. Let's see what other news.
The rabbit is having a party.
The rabbit's having a party? We're having a party. No, party cast is Tuesday. No, I can't.
Oh, okay. God, he's literally just like, well, he's mad that he's in the cage right now instead of being allowed to hop around because the cat isn't here. And so, like, he's just literally running back and forth, pushing his cage back and forth under the desk. And I can't believe you can't hear it.
Jesse says, I'm good. How are you? How about that failure of WWE 2K20? Yeah, that's been a train wreck. It's
what is with all the garbage games lately?
I don't know, but WWE 2K20 has been a train wreck with a new development team and a new engine in place, yet still trying to keep their whole yearly schedule. And to make matters worse, people who bought the $120 edition of the game were supposed to receive a signed picture of Rey Mysterio, I think Kurt Angle, or Edge. And a number of people who got Edge's picture was not autographed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To show what kind of a badass he is, Edge himself said he's going to set up a P.O. box after a movie shoot that he's working on so that people could send their picture and he's personally going to fix it himself.
Wow.
That is badass.
The extent of my knowledge of what's going on with the WWE 2020 thing, I saw a screenshot somebody had posted of like a character customization screen. I like how I said that flawlessly this time, but I fucked it up so horribly the last time I tried to say it. But like somebody had posted a screen grab, and like you could see the character's eyeball was like all the way down their neck. And like there was like skin as if it was extended all and just like googly, like it could have been a scene from All Real Monsters.
Monster!
That's what I thought of when I saw that, and I was like, oh.
Oh man,
garbage is garbage.
Yeah, it just came out. IGN gave 2K20 a 4.3.
That's higher than a lot of people would have gave it. Oh
yeah.
Man.
Root beer's my jam. My ex went to high school with Christian and Edge. That is cool as hell. That's cool. Anyway, let's see what else. Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed to May 29th.
Weren't there like 7 game delays today?
I don't know. That's the only one I really paid attention to. What else was delayed?
I don't remember. I saw it on Discord. Give me a second.
I know Ubisoft came out and said that like all of their big releases are going to be in the next fiscal year, which is after April. So if there was anything releasing before then, that got delayed, I guess.
That might have been what else I saw was about Ubisoft, because I don't remember seeing anything specific, but they were like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 games being delayed back to back.
No.
And I was like, yikes.
Hey, better delayed than bad.
I say it all the time. I would rather see games delayed.
Yeah.
But that's a lot to do at once. And it makes you wonder if it isn't because Breakpoint didn't do well. Like, Were they following the breakpoint model for all this shit? Now they've gone, oh, fuck.
Maybe.
We gotta fix this.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. Ubisoft hasn't been that bad lately, though. So one stinker out of a couple of games, I don't think is that bad.
Division 2 is my shit, so.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is incredible. I still fire that up every now and then. Odyssey is fantastic. It is huge, too. Let's see what other news. Suda51, the guy behind No More Heroes, and Swery, the guy behind Deadly Premonition, are working together on a new indie horror title called Hotel Barcelona. I'm sure this is catching your attention.
I'd play it.
No platforms
now go ahead
are announced.
And tell me. I was about to say, now go ahead and tell me it's only on PlayStation, you fucker.
No platforms were announced. Some speculated it might be mobile, but it will supposedly be published by Devolver, and they've been getting friendlier with Xbox, so maybe.
They are doing a little better.
Especially with Game Pass.
Especially with Game Pass. I'm still salty about Exit the Gungeon. But
maybe
they
eventually.
Are improving. All
maybe
things
eventually.
in due time.
Yeah. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrate. Oh, love you. Bye.
Love you, Ashley. Bye.
Eternal loves you too. Cole. She said hi, Cole. Anyway, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated Edition is getting not one, but 2 collector's editions. A remaster is getting 2 collector's editions. They have the Shiny Edition, which includes the game, 6 lithographs, a sticker sheet, SpongeBob socks, and an 8-inch figure of SpongeBob holding his golden spatula with Gary, and it runs $150. Can
I be perfectly honest for a moment?
Sure.
Like, can we have a between me, you, and a fence post moment?
If you consider our audience a fence post.
Yeah, I fucking hate SpongeBob.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion one way or another.
I could not be asked to give a fuck if I had to.
Well, you better give a fuck, because there's also the FUN edition that includes all of the stuff from the Shiny Edition, plus a set of Tiki Tiki keychains, a 7-inch figure of Patrick Star holding a watermelon wearing underwear. The watermelon wearing underwear, not Patrick.
What is Patrick wearing?
His normal shorts.
Oh, okay.
And then another 8-inch figure of Sandy with a lasso. So you're getting 2 more statues and a set of keychains with everything else, and that one runs $299.
That is
I am not getting it.
Not worth it. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not planning on getting that.
I oh no. Ruby says he's canceling Patreon. I'm assuming this is because I really fucking hate SpongeBob. You know what? SpongeBob was made to be a cartoon for adults initially, and then for whatever reason Nickelodeon repackaged it and threw it at kids, and it did well, and that's fine, except for I was very strict with my kids' viewing choices, and I tried to keep words like stupid and moron and anything kind of in that verbiage out of their wheelhouses for a long ass time. And my mother-in-law was always eager to undermine me with that. And so I would be like, they can't watch SpongeBob. And then as soon as they would go to her house, she would turn on SpongeBob because she just thought it was hilarious. And I hated it, and it made her happy.
Carnage has a point. We watched Ren and Stimpy as kids.
Yeah, but
idiot.
Here's the thing. Ren and Stimpy was clearly, even though it was absurd and obscene, it was still marketed at an older child audience. I wasn't for watching SpongeBob. The fact that they made SpongeBob crib sheets was problematic to me. SpongeBob toddler beds were problematic to me. And I'm one of those, I've mentioned it before on the show. I stand by it. I was strict as shit. Look, I never had to carry any of my kids out of the grocery store football style. So not watching SpongeBob did something, okay, people?
All right, well, enough SpongeBob talk. The last bit of news I have is that we covered previously after 20 years at Xbox, Mikey Barra quit or moved on.
Hey, and, I was right here.
Yeah, it looks like he joined Blizzard as executive VP and general manager.
So
he turned heel.
Excuse me, sir.
I heard that one.
Are you protesting? I apologize for my transgressions. He hit me with the cane.
Nice. But yeah, 20 years at Xbox, and he went and turned heel and joined Activision.
I am not surprised. I know how much he loved Blizzard games, and like that's basically his dream job.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised by this at all. I think it was a piss poor time to do it. Good luck to him there.
Yeah, no shit.
But
they're doing great right now publicly.
He may find that may not have been his best choice after all. But I hope it works out for him, and I hope he enjoys his new position. He'll still be streaming and all that cool stuff.
But he won't be streaming on Mixer anymore. He made the jump over to Twitch.
He did, which I was surprised by.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot on Mixer, like charity-wise. Like all of his subs and all of his donations and stuff, he would immediately give it to charity, but he would do it through the Microsoft program where his rule was whatever comes in through Mixer would go to charity, but he would match it no matter the amount. He would match it, then he would take that matched amount, take it to Microsoft, and they would match it.
Wow. And
then it would go to charity. So I'll be curious to see if he sticks with doing that on Twitch and stuff.
I don't know. We'll see. But that's the news I have. Anything you want to talk about?
No.
No, nothing? You ready to get to reviews?
Yeah. Was I supposed to have something to talk about? Okay.
No, just asking like usual.
Okay. No, I'm good. Like I had a moment where I was like, look.
Shit, did I have something to say?
No, because I haven't had my meds still this week. I can't have them until tomorrow. And so, like, I'm just living in a fog. And I hope, like, fuck, I can remember what I'm supposed to do in the next 5 minutes. My leg really fucking hurts where he clocked me with that case. Jesus bastard.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
You're a hot mess.
I fuck, really am. Next, speaking of dicks.
Speaking of dicks,
the rabbit
reviews.
Is now a dick.
No, we can't speak of dicks with this one. First game to talk about is called Ice Age, Scrat's Nutty Adventure. Developed by Just Add Water, published by Outright Games, released October 18th on Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 for $39.99. Scrat's brand new quest, Scrat's prized acorn, is locked inside an ancient Scratazon temple, and finding the legendary crystal nuts is the only way to get it back. Help Scrat battle prehistoric creatures, survive comical calamities, and explore the Ice Age universe. It's one nutty quest. Cole, tell us about it.
If you have ever seen a commercial or a trailer or anything involving Ice Age, you immediately recognize Scrat. Mm-hmm. He is the buck-toothed prehistoric squirrel, and his life mission is to chase down his beloved acorn. And that doesn't change at all in this game. His mission shall forever be to collect the nuts. In this case, they're sparkly nuts. Because they are purple crystal nuts. You'll just want to guide them through tell us about nuts. God damn it, chat's gonna make this harder than it ought to be.
Kids game. We gotta watch it on a kids game.
Yeah. And then this is rated 7 and up. To be fair, number 3 is 6, and she did fine. She also plays Super Meat Boy, so maybe I'm not the best judge.
So Meat Boy's fine, but SpongeBob's a no.
Yeah. Well, I didn't let her start playing Super Meat Boy until a couple years ago, and things get different by your third one. You're just like, fuck, do whatever, just get out of my hair.
Anyway, Ice Age.
Yeah, they get introduced to shit anyway because of the older siblings, so you can't stop it. But with Ice Age, it is your classic nostalgia-based 3D platformer, really, which means it comes with all the typical 3D platformer struggles. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to judge your depth, and like you're 900% sure you're gonna make this jump, and then Scrat falls into the lava like a jackass because you didn't make the jump. Thankfully, it's incredibly forgiving in that regard. There are tons of checkpoints. Sometimes I could stand in one area and see multiple checkpoints in my line of sight. So there's very little risk of you not being able to finish it.
That's good. I believe the email I read said that it was geared or aimed at kids 6 to 12. So It would be more forgiving, obviously. Yeah, it obviously really is. I had heard some people like kind of cracking on it for how easy it was, but it is meant for kids. It's kind of, baby's first 3D platformer, and it does a really good job at being that. There's plenty of things to collect. The path that you're supposed to go is very clearly laid out. If you want to deviate off, you're going to find things to, there's statues and different artifacts that you can collect. There's different ways to go about them. Sometimes they're behind little puzzles. Sometimes they're just in a hole in the ground and you got to dig them up. It never breaks out in difficulty to the point where you're like, holy shit, a kid couldn't do this, which is good because I see that a lot. We get a lot of kids games that I play and I'm like, my kids are kind of the exception when it comes to gaming. I know that I actually read some other mothers' comments on this game where they were like, oh, well, my kid couldn't manage, just like Tom was talking about, using both thumbsticks at the same time to control the camera and movement. So I know that was a problem for people who don't have hardcore gamer kids. I have hardcore gamer kids, and they were just like, oh yeah, pew, gone. They knew what to do. It didn't faze them at all. But I could see it being a little more difficult, especially in some situations. We did have a couple of issues where Scrat can kind of get into these little areas. He's probably not supposed to be able to go. And when you're exploring everywhere, looking for those crystal nuts, when you're in trying to find the collectibles and the artifacts and stuff, you kind of just want to see where you can get into, because that seems like a brilliant place for a developer to hide shit. And then you find yourself stuck behind a couple of trees and halfway into a rock, and you're like, oh, this is a problem. And then you're either forced with kids who are like, help me get him out, or you can just restart to the checkpoint, which was exactly how I handled it every time. But it is a little unfortunate that it can happen. I think people bitch about invisible walls. I bitch about invisible walls, but I think in games that are geared toward kids like this, especially one that, especially when it's rewarding you for exploring, but exploring can get you stuck, then throw a wall in there. We're fine with it. I would far rather there be invisible walls than my kid begging me to come get them out from behind a tree. Mom!
I mean, it was literally just she would poke her head out of the room and she'd go, I'm stuck. And then when me and Dee are playing rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to go get her out.
Nice.
Oh, bitch, it's your turn. Beyond that, though, it played really well. I was super impressed. There's a Metroidvania aspect to it, because as you play through, you unlock different abilities for Scrat. He's able to throw snowballs at enemies, and he can, do a jump kick. Eventually, I realized that we had an ability where, like, he can kind of float in the air a little bit. And I was like, the fuck did we get that? I wish it was a little more obvious when you've unlocked an ability, because I was literally just, like, doing shit on accident. And then I was like, I didn't know I unlocked that. When were we able to do that?
What makes it Metroidvania, nice, though?
Because you can't go back to the earlier levels, and sometimes there are collectibles that you can't get to at first. So you need to go back after there's no leveling system. And like I said, I have no idea what triggers the extra abilities to unlock. They were just kind of magically happening. But you could go back after we realized that we had the ability to float. We went back to some earlier levels, and it made it easier to get to different collectibles, get to the nuts a little easier in some places. So it helped. But the one thing besides getting stuck that I would specifically give this game grief for is that Scrat has the ability to throw snowballs, and there is not much in the way of like an aim assist or any kind of auto target. And for a game
for kids,
for a game that's aimed at kids, especially given there's an achievement for hitting 3 flying enemies in 10 seconds.
Jeez.
I couldn't do it. I was actively searching for groups of flying enemies and trying to pop that achievement. And I have good aim. I play fucking shooters all the time. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't understand why this is so hard. But I would get 2, and then that third one would just evade me. And there was just, because there is no lock on, like it does lock on. It'll actually go from like a blue circle to a pink circle, but it doesn't stay on it. Like if that beetle flies out of your range and you can't stay trained on it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's a little too much for young kids. But that and getting stuck every now and then is really the only things I can fuss about. I was really happy to see the fast travel system. I was happy to see how forgiving it was with checkpoints, and the difficulty was just like meh. Even like number 3 was one phasing bosses, just going through and just knocking them down. And I was like, oh, okay. You got this, bro. You need me, have fun, bye.
Nice.
Tell me if you liked it.
Well, overall $40. Did she like it?
She did, and I'd say for kids, this is an absolute buy it. I think if you're playing it as an adult, you're definitely going into it for like, this is easy, this is goofy, and I'm going to get some cheap achievements. Not cheap, it's an expensive game, but
some easy achievements. Some
painless achievements, yeah. Minus that one for hitting fucking things in 3 and 10 seconds. But, that's something that you just have to keep in mind. Like, it's one of those, do you really love Ice Age as an adult? And if the answer is yes, go ahead and get it. But for kids, I think it's great. I think it's one of those games that can open them up to some different genres that don't typically cater to kids.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good to hear. I know, I don't remember if Outright were the guys behind that Paw Patrol on a Roll game. Do you remember or not?
I don't remember. We didn't get it, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't get it because they told us it was meant for children, and they didn't really want people reviewing it because obviously, like, it's not geared for us. We wouldn't, quote, get it, which I understand. I totally understand that. The game was fine. It was enjoyable. The problem I had with it was, like, the stages were unbelievably long with no checkpoints.
Oh,
and that's what I worry. So the fact that there were checkpoints in Ice Age, that immediately makes me happier. And
yeah, that was Outright Games for Paw Patrol. I just looked it up.
Yeah,
well, they published it. It was developed by Taurus.
No, it's good to hear that Ice Age turned out really well.
Yeah, they did. I was impressed. I was surprised to be impressed. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, next game to talk about is Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip, developed by High Voltage Software, published by Game Mill Entertainment, released October 15th on Xbox One, Switch, Steam, and PS4 for $39.99. Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip is a ridiculously fun top-down twin-stick shooter featuring local co-op multiplayer for up to 4 players. Plays your favorite heroes from the original, as well as new unlockable characters from the upcoming sequel. Zombieland was better than I expected. It really was. Did you play it?
I didn't get a chance to because 940 other reviews.
I had middling hopes going into this one. I talked with you about it where I kind of expected this to be a middle of the road kind of game. It's a licensed game.
I was scared from the videos that it was going to be garbage. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's not that bad of a game. I beat it. I had fun with it. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter. You pick one of 4 different characters. I don't remember their names in the movie. Little Rock, Tallahassee.
I remember Tallahassee. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember all of them. Abigail Breslin returned to voice her character in this. None of the other people did, obviously, but it's cool that they got one of them.
Yeah.
The sound alikes aren't that bad. It's decently written. Some okay jokes here or there. The story's not going to keep you coming for the game. It's going to be about the gameplay. It's fairly basic top-down twin-stick shooter. Aim with the right stick, walk around with the left, shoot with the triggers, kill enemies. The one difference with this game is enemies don't drop any kind of weapons or ammo. Everything you get has to be scavenged out of vehicles or out of cabinets, stuff like that. You'll find rifles there, burst rifles, minigun, shotgun, sniper rifle. And then they have some fun stuff like guitars and pitchforks and katana blades.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some fun weapons in there. Each of the weapons has limited ammo. You can't pick up more ammo. The only thing you could do is swap it for a different weapon. If you swap it, your original weapon remains where you swapped it. So if you're having double pistols and you're not really enjoying them, but you find double SMGs, you could swap them out. And if you run out of the SMG ammo, you could go back and your double pistols will still be there. Yeah. There's 10 stages in the game, 5 side stages, so 15 total. Each of the stages could last 10, 15 minutes. A couple of them are going to be shorter. There was one in a grocery store with a maze that took me for fucking ever because it was a maze. It was just that wasn't a fun stage for me. There was a lot of running around and backtracking and going down the same aisle multiple times. But there's no mid-level checkpoints of any kind in this game. None. No checkpoints.
No.
Which in a 15-minute long stage is a pain in the ass. You don't get to keep any of the experience that you earned if you die. You have to restart the level from the beginning. No kept experience, no kept progress, nothing. I played one stage. It took me about 20 minutes. I got to the end of the stage where I had to activate a bunch of gas pumps. I was on the very last pump, filling it up, and a zombie killed me. And I had to start the stage over. I quit out of the game and uninstalled it before reinstalling it because I had to review it.
Wow.
I was just that pissed that I wanted to make a statement like, fuck you, game. I'm deleting you. Yes, I'm re-downloading you because I have to, but I'm pissed.
Remember when we were talking about it before we decided who was going to review it, I told you that from the videos and the trailers and stuff, it reminded me of a 360 zombie game, but I couldn't remember the name of it. Mm-hmm. I found it, and I remember what it was now. It was the 360 game Zombie Apocalypse from Nihilistic Software, and it was published by Konami.
I don't remember that one.
That was seriously one of my most favorite zombie shooters on the 360.
You would probably enjoy this one then. It really is an enjoyable game. It's not the best looking game. Like this could probably pass as a 360 game.
Yeah.
So visually it's not going to stun you. I do have some gripes though, like some noticeable gripes with this game. Besides the mid-level checkpoints, like not having any checkpoints, that pisses me off right off the bat. Second, whenever you start a stage, there's a talking sequence where the characters talk back and forth. You can't skip it at all. If you played the stage,
if you die and you have to do it again.
If you die and you have to replay the stage, you got to listen to them talk all over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, I hate when you can't just skip things. There's some sections in the game where it'll like pan to a new zombie type and you can't skip those. Unskippable shit is annoying. The biggest gripe I have with this game, especially at a $40 price tag, is the lack of online.
Yeah.
I think
even Zombie Apocalypse had online.
I think in 2019, in a $40 game that's focused on multiplayer, you better have online. And that is a huge, not only a huge disappointment, but a huge missed opportunity, because I would have loved to team up with you to play this. I didn't have anyone to team up with. I haven't taught Pickle how to use a controller yet. I'm working on it.
Slacker.
Yeah, I know, I try. But the lack of online just kills this game. Overall, $40 on this one. Oh, man. This is a tough one because I had fun with the game. I saw it through to the end. I enjoyed it. But that price tag and the lack of online and just the other little things I have, it's not bad enough that I want to give it a deny it, but it's, I guess, just a hesitant try it.
Yeah.
Because I had fun with it. I guess another gripe I could have is it's not a very long game. There's an achievement for beating it under 5.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that, like, if your game has a high price tag and you have a speedrun achievement for something like that, I get pissed. Like, if you know your game can be beaten that quickly, do something about it. Don't make it an achievement. Do something about it. Give me more game.
It's not like the game was too short. Like, I ended the game and I was like, all right, that was a good length.
Okay.
It's for the price tag. I wish it was higher. I had fun with the time I had. It's just really, really hard to recommend it. Hesitant, try it. If it goes on sale, this is a perfect $20 game.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next game to talk about, The Fisherman Fishing Planet, developed by Fishing Planet, published by Big Ben Interactive, released October 15th on Xbox One for $39.99. The Fisherman is The Fisherman is for all fans of nature and sport fishing. The simulation made by and for fishing enthusiasts recreates all the finer details of the art of fishing with unrivaled authenticity. Whether you're an amateur or a seasoned angler, The Fisherman will give you the experience to improve your real-life fishing skills. Cole, did you be a better fisher?
I am the best fucking fisher woman ever. I do take a little issue with them saying that it's unrivaled authenticity. This game is a fantastic arcade fishing game. There are definitely better realism simulators. I'm sorry, but that's how the cookie crumbles, and it's my job to be honest about shit like that.
Yeah.
If you've ever played a dovetail fishing game, they have plenty of them, and I would definitely recommend trying them out. But their casting system is impeccable. You actually have to pull back on the thumbstick and then press it forward if you're using the realistic casting options. Now, they have easier options for, accessibility, which I often use, but the fact that, like, there's so much realism put into, like, how you actually flick the thumbstick affects how you cast. That is unrivaled authenticity. And unfortunately, Fishing Planet doesn't have that. Fishing Planet has the more dumbed down casting system. I actually really struggled to learn the casting system because it's so awkwardly mapped to the controller.
What makes it awkward?
It does use the, like, right trigger reels in, or you can go in and set it to a left-handed option, which I give them credit for. That is really nice. I have a left-handed kid, and, like, anytime a game gives a left-handed option, I'm like, so I can appreciate that. Thank you. That's fantastic. But you use the left trigger to aim it and the right trigger to cast out. And then it uses the system where, like, the power of the cast determines how far it goes, and, like, the bar fills up and you got to hit just the sweet spot to get it to land where you've aimed it at. That is that more simplistic casting that you see in like other fishing games. It's not a bad system. It works in that regard. But for their reeling casting, or for their reeling in, you have to pull the right trigger, and you can't reel in a little bit and then let it sit and wait for something to bite. Like once you start reeling it in, it has to just come all the way in, and you got to recast out again. And that is horribly problematic to me. And I've been spoiled by Dovetail because you can sit and like gradually, wiggle your line and move it a little bit, and it gives some realism to the lures and attracts different fish in different sizes. And that's fantastic. That's not what happens in Fishing Planet. If you hit that trigger even on accident, pull it in. Do it again. Sorry, sucks to be you. I was like, well, okay.
It appears my jam says the best fishing game is in Ocarina of Time.
Oh boy. Gonna get me going on tangent about fishing games of all things.
The Fisherman, Fishing Planet. Talk about it.
Another thing that gets me is that it doesn't give you much guidance. I love fishing simulators. I love fishing games. I like to fish in real life. I can't do it as much anymore because it'll kill my ass to sit there with my broken back at the lake. But that's one of the reasons I do enjoy the fishing games. The thing is that I'm really dumb about fishing, despite loving to do it. And I typically need my husband to like sit there and be like, okay, you have to use this kind of hook and this kind of line and that kind of rod and this kind of reel. And I'm like, hey, gotcha. I just want to catch catfish. And just like in real life. And I don't know enough about those things to like pick out like, this is the type of hook to use if you're in a grassy area, and this is the type of hook to use if you're in a gravelly area. Other fishing games break that shit down for you. They straight up say, and in the shop, the Fishing Planet does that as well, and it's like to an extent. But when you're actually out and fishing, there is no icon of to let you know the types of areas you're casting into. The way that it just shows it is that where on the HUD where it shows your bobber, then it will show you once the bobber lands, it's like, oh, now it's in dirt, dumbass. It's like, that doesn't help me now, does it? And I have to reel in and do it again because I can't just wiggle it a little to try to find some grass. So it's not as good as like at telling you the best way to set your things up so that you can it doesn't just say, hey, look, this is a ready-made kit if you just want to sit down and fish for some carp. Like a little more dummy mode would be helpful. Otherwise, you're just sitting there looking like, and I give them credit. They've got a ton of name brands. There's all kinds of licensing involved here. And I've actually recognized some of the brands in the game as ones that we have bought. And I still sit there and went, I don't know what you use that for. And that's fine. I just want to catch some fucking catfish.
I know the difference with this game compared to the original release is the original release was nothing but like microtransactions in a free-to-play game. This is this everything included, or is there still other stuff you have to buy? Is this a complete package?
Not 100% complete package. There are still some microtransactions, mostly for cosmetic stuff, mostly for like special rods and reels. You can buy the in-game, they call it bait coin. Wow. I think they hired Carnage for that. But they call it bait coin, and there's a little bit of subtle subtext there, isn't there? I just caught on to it. But yeah, you can buy that to buy different items. Some items can only be bought with bait coin. You can earn it slowly but surely, and you can take the money you have in game and and convert it to Bitcoin, but you get very low, very, very low conversion on that. I will say, though, I did it just enough to justify buying the fish hooks that look like bones. And, like, I guess they're having some kind of Halloween event, and I was like, yes, I want this.
Oh, God. And
then, like, I bought a bobber that looked like a skull, and I was like, totally worth it. I was happy. But there are, as far as I'm aware, in the free-to-play version, you have to pay for the extra maps and different lakes and stuff that you can fish on. The Fisherman has all 19. So those are all available and unlocked. So as long as you can afford an in-game fishing license and you are a high enough level, you can go wherever you damn well please.
Nice.
The levels are really well designed. They're super pretty. These lakes are just gorgeous fishing areas. They're not quite as high quality as, again, I'm really spoiled by Dovetail games. And it's hard not to compare.
It's there. You got to compare.
They're so similar, you know, that I would easily like scoot over to Dovetail and be like, hi, BB. That doesn't mean that I haven't had fun with Fishing Planet, though, because I've already got all the achievements in Dovetail, so I might as well get the ones in Fishing Planet. But I will say, man, the character models are fucking ugly. They are not good. The game is always online. I have mixed feelings about this too. Like, I would be fishing all by myself, and then all of a sudden I'd hear splash, and I'd look over and there'd be some ugly motherfucker standing next to me. I'd be like, where did you come from? I don't want to play with you. Don't stand beside me. Stop stealing my fish. I'm not impressed with this. And then I would get even more mad because there's a chat box in the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully nobody was saying anything, so I was fine with that. Just everybody shut up. That's great. But it shows, which on one hand is a cool feature. It'll show, like, when you catch a fish, it shows the fish's weight and species. But then, like, I would purposely be trying to catch, like, a certain species of trophy fish, and then I could see other people pulling it out. Because it would pop up in the chat bar and be like, so-and-so got trophy blue. And I'm like, no, fuck you. That's my fish. Leave it alone.
So it's just like real life. Your fish gets stolen.
That doesn't happen in a Dovetail game. Look, there are trophy-named fishes in Dovetail games, and I could play it by myself, and nobody takes my goddamn fish.
Well, Fisherman Fishing Planet is not Dovetail Games, but it is $40. So what's your verdict?
It's a little pricey, but also, I mean, there's plenty to justify that price at the same time. I wish the character models were prettier and that there were more options. Like, there are 3 hairstyles for the women.
Wow.
Short blonde, long blondish orange, and short brown. And that's it. And I'm like, these don't even look like lady haircuts. They just look like emo teen boys. Just not black. If they were black hair, then it would just scream emo teen. And I'd just be like, I don't think emo teens go fishing that much, but okay.
Hey, don't judge. You never know.
I mean, it's redneck land, and I've seen some emos here, so maybe they do go fishing. Things happen, but I don't think that's exactly the look that Fishing Planet is going for. But yeah, I'm going to give it a recommended try. It did play well. I didn't have any glitchiness. It may not be the prettiest fishing game out there, but the lakes themselves are actually really well done. There was one other thing I wanted to bitch about, and it's a big one.
Okay.
There's no, like, sensitivity options, so you move slow as sin. I saw snails passing me. And then it'll be like, here's your mission. walk around the lake. And I'm like, fucking no. Because I don't have 4 hours. I do wish that the characters were sped up. And also that I had better sensitivity. Fucking Aki said to move as fast as I do in real life. Okay, so like it's like 3 steps faster than me. But it's like I'm trying to escape real life. I don't want to walk slow. I want to be a normal person for a change. Not an emo teenager that's gone fishing after taking some downers.
Oh, Lord.
But I do still enjoy the game, and I'm gonna end up completing it. It's a fishing game. I'm gonna find somewhere to like squeak out an hour and just like catch all the catfish.
Nice.
Yeah. After David tells me how to put my equipment together.
Well, this next game is something that you should be very familiar with, and that is Eastshade, developed and published by Eastshade Studios, released October 21st on Xbox One for $24.99. You are a traveling painter. Hey, look!
Yay!
Exploring the island of Eastshade, capture the world on canvas using your artist's easel, talk to the inhabitants to learn more about their lives, make friends and help those in need, visit cities, scale summits, unearth mysteries, and discover forgotten places. Cole, tell us about Eastshade.
I feel represented in a video game. Yay. So basically, following the passing of your mother, your character decides to travel in order to create paintings based on the mother's favorite places. So you're trying to get to these places and create a painting to recapture those memories. Unfortunately, you find yourself shipwrecked, and you wash up on the shore of Eastshade, and this is where things like veered off into an area that I wasn't expecting. All of the people are anthropomorphic animals. And I was like, I didn't know this was a furry game. The
I don't judge.
Are really well done, though. Most of them are monkeys, but occasionally you'll run into one that's like a deer. Or, something else. There's a couple of birds and owls. They look fantastic, though. Like, I expected a pretty world because I'd seen the, screenshots and stuff, and they mostly focused on the scenery. And that's important, especially when you're in a game where, like, you're playing as an artist who's trying to capture the scenery. That's important to have it be pretty. But I didn't expect the characters to, A, not be people, and B, also be pretty. Gameplay-wise, I had, like, a little bit of an Elder Scrolls vibe playing it. Not because you have all the RPG elements. It was like if you stripped all of that stuff down, and it was just about interacting with people and the environment. That's the kind of vibe but like there's just a magical element to it too. It's kind of hard to describe, but I played the Elder Scrolls not too long ago, and as soon as I went into this, I was like, for some reason, that's just where my head is at this whole game. I'm not fighting any dragons, but it just what was the name of the last DLC in Elder Scrolls? Elsewhere, where like it very focused on the anthropomorphic cat people race. I think that's what was doing it, because you were the people had very similar mannerisms with being anthropomorphic animals, and so that might have been where I was like pulling that from. But for most of the game, you're going to be kind of just searching out quest items. You have to find and make your own canvas for paintings. So you will need to find wood and fabric. You have to search around, and as you're searching around for like these crafting items that you need and fulfilling these quests, you'll get more information, but you also get more inspiration, and that inspiration is what you use to let you create the paintings. So once you've got your canvases, you've built up a little bit of inspiration, you find something super pretty that you want to create a painting of. Sometimes you will need to create these paintings for quests, but you can also sell them for money that you'll need to buy things in the game. This works if you've ever played The Sims and you've like done a painting where like it lets you zoom in on an object in the game and kind of take a screenshot of it, and then the sim paints it. It's that same kind of concept. So it'll take you out of the first person perspective and give you like a camera's perspective. And then you line up your shot within that, those boundaries. You can, adjust how big and what size your canvas is. You can go more square. Excuse me, hiccup. You can go more square. You can go more rectangular. You can, make it a small painting. You can make it a larger one. It's going to cost you the same materials either way. But sometimes you can get a better composed image if you adjust your size. And then once you've done that, you just click A and it will do the painting for you. And then you'll basically be back in the first person perspective and the painting will be there. It's almost like a normal screenshot that's been run through a painterly filter. And it's
like Soul.
But it will be, on the canvas there, and then you can pick it up. If you need to do a painting for a quest and you can't find the materials to make another canvas, you've got a painting you're not particularly fond of, paint over it. Or don't. Keep them and just lug them all around with you. Sell them. It's up to you. I was incredibly surprised by the game. Like, I expected to enjoy it, but I didn't expect to enjoy it and get as wrapped up in it as I did.
Uh-oh. Awesome Prime just dropped some biddies.
20
biddies, George.
Dropping bits! Wet pancakes!
Thank you, Prime. Always good seeing you in chat. Thank you for dropping by, and thank you for the biddies.
Those were Terminator biddies.
They are Terminator biddies.
I didn't even know that was a thing. And also, they didn't go into the cup.
I wonder if there are if they don't fall into the... That's weird. I've never seen Terminator biddies. Maybe it's because they're limited. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway, E-Shade is gorgeous. And it is a fantastic narrative, and I think it's a really creative play style where you have to create the paintings. And I was surprised at how much emphasis was put on the crafting of it, though. But if you're careful, you don't have to do it too much. You just got to be really careful with your resources. I was also surprised that there is a little bit of a survival element. Like, you literally can't be out at night or you'll freeze to death. That's bad. Don't do that until you can afford to buy a coat, which is far harder than you would think. When it was a little too realistic, like, I'm a painter and I'm poor and shipwrecked and I can't afford a coat. Thanks for, making me feel attacked there, game. But
oh boy.
But yeah, beyond that, I think that this is definitely a buy it. I really enjoyed it. It's super well done. It played smoothly. It's one of those that you can just load up and play for a little while and not have to put too much thought or effort into. You can just explore.
Sounds relaxing.
Yes. Unless you're trying to figure out how to get enough money to get across a bridge.
Well, it's good to hear that it got to buy it. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, I really did enjoy it.
Awesome. Next game to talk about is Door Kickers Action Squad, developed by Killhouse Games and Pixel Shard, published by Killhouse Games, released October 24th on Xbox One and PS4, October 28th on the Switch for $14.99. Rescue hostages, disarm bombs, and save the day in this old-school side-scroller action game with retro graphics and retro sensibilities, online and couch co-op included. Look at that, online for a $15 game.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a bitch, look at that. And that's what we're talking about. And then he dropped another biddy.
Did it go in the cup?
I don't know. I'm not looking.
Sad face.
Dropping bits!
Oh yeah, it was a heart. So it went in the cup.
Anyway.
I wasn't looking either, to be fair.
Anyway, our friend Serlina covered this one, wrote in her review, this is what she's got to say. Greetings, SML friends and fans. She still thinks we have friends. This is Serlina, and this week I'm reviewing Door Kickers Action Squad for the Xbox One. Door Kickers is developed by Killhouse Games and Pixel Shard, and it's a side-scrolling romp that puts you right in the boots of a SWAT team member that must rescue hostages, help down policemen, and take down the baddies. It's fair to say that this game is highly deceiving, and I haven't decided if that's good or bad yet. When I first checked out the trailer, I giggled thinking this would be mindless fun, shoot some bad dudes, rescue chicks, no brain power required. How wrong I was. Like any SWAT team that we've seen in media, the game requires lots of thought and foresight. There's several ways to assault your targets, and you need to find the best way to do that with as little bodily harm to your character and any surrounding innocence. Get ready to die many times as you pursue pixelated justice. Luckily, the game isn't too punishing on the death front. Yes, you die and have to restart the level, but you keep any experience that you've earned for your character. Hey, look at that. You get to keep your experience when you die.
Oh,
amazing.
boy.
And online. As well as map knowledge. I died enough on the very first level to gain a character level, so it's not all bad. Let's talk about the characters. You start out as an assaulter who is your default. From there, you can choose the breacher who specializes in breaching. Shield who has a big-ass shield to help protect from bullets. Recon who is nimble and gets you valuable intel on enemies. Agent Fergie who's like a crazy kamikaze lady hell-bent on destruction. And off-duty guy who was dragged into the fray and forgot to put on his pants.
Wow.
Tell me there's a dude in his underwear in this game. A SWAT member in his underwear. Oh god, I gotta play this. All these different classes are available at the beginning of the game, so you can pick who you like and go from there. Obviously, some are better than others in certain situations, so be mindful of who you choose. What's not available at the beginning of the game are the weapons and gear, which you'll have to unlock. You have 2 gear slots for your character, one for armor, which does a variety of things from stopping knives to stopping bullets. The second gear slot is for ordnance, generally grenades. Word to the wise, frag grenades are fun but indiscriminate, proceed with caution. Weapons are fairly self-explanatory. Each class has their default weapon, but the rest will need to be earned by using your stars to unlock them. You earn stars by how well you perform in each level, up to a total of 3 stars per level. I hate 3 stars. While the game keeps track of time, I haven't noticed a time penalty in earning stars. Oh, that's good. However, there is a star penalty for killing hostages and downed policemen. Yes, this game has friendly fire, and it will cost you stars more than once. I found it best to just die and reset the level, annoying as that is. At least they could take a couple of shots before they die, but that is a cold comfort. Let's talk about the baddies, which come in several forms. You have your berserker knife-wielding baddie who charges you and can kill you in 3 swipes. You have your sophisticated 6-bullet pistol user who favors a lab coat. You have your SMG gang members who identify themselves with red bandanas. You have your shotgun rednecks, which can kill you instantly with 1 pump or 2 if you're wearing body armor. You also have your leaders with gold pistols. Those bastards love to take hostages and will kill them if pressed, so caution is needed. I was really surprised at the tactics that each baddie uses, and you'll have to get used to those tactics as well. I know it sounds intimidating, but you actually have a lot to help you out. Each baddie you kill, each hostage and policeman you save earns you SP. With this SP, you can give yourself perks like body armor, a med kit, and extra life, and use of your ultimate. I spent the most time with the assault class, and his ultimate is a sniper support in which snipers will take out 3 baddies on the screen. Super useful in a hostage-taking situation. SP is finite on each level and doesn't carry over, so keep track of what you use and if you can replenish it or not. The one major negative I have with this game is the controls. Some of the actions that you can take aren't mapped to where you would expect them to be. There's a learning curve to it that you can pick up, but don't be surprised if you accidentally shoot a hostage because you thought you were accessing your SP. Finally, is Door Kickers Action Squad worth the $13.99 price tag? Yes, I would definitely buy this game, and you're hearing from someone who doesn't normally play games like this. It's frustratingly fun and has 3 modes to keep you ensnared for quite a while, as well as 2-player co-op. Step outside your comfy zone, put on your camo, go save some chicks, and help those baddies meet their makers. Sounds good.
Yep.
I like the fact that there's a dude in his underwear. Always
definitely intriguing.
Always a positive when there's baddies in their undies. Next game to talk about is Deep Space Rush, developed by Bug Studio, published by Ratalaika Games. It released October 22nd on PS4 and Vita, 23rd on Xbox One, 25th on the Switch for $4.99. Get ready to join the D team and sweep the scientific space stations. Blast your way past infected victims, watching out for sneaky traps and monsters. Cole, tell us about Deep Space Rush.
You can do it in like 15 minutes, and it's a Ratalaika, and congratulations on your completion. I mean, we got undie bits.
Oh, we got more biddies. Undie Bits Prime dropping more biddies.
Dropping bits!
Dropping bits! What is that, ice cream? Ice cream.
Ice cream. Yeah, where did you go?
I went over here.
Why would you do that?
Because I was trying to look closer at the monitor. I couldn't tell what it was.
Get some goddamn glasses.
So instead, well, I'm sitting a distance away from my monitor. It's out of arm's reach. So I had to lean over here. Look. You want me to talk louder?
I can't wait for you to do the what's that thing you do that like crushes down the noise?
The compressor?
Yeah, your voice is gonna get all fucked.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
It's gonna be fantastic. And it's free content. You didn't even have to pay for it on our Patreon.
Anyway, Deep Space Rush, tell us about it.
Fuck, this is a game. You can play it. It's pixel. It's so hard to talk about these games when you can complete them in 20 minutes. It's not a negative, though. Ratalaika knows what they're doing. They're feeding achievement hordes, and that's fine. And this game does it well. You want to go in and you want to shoot some. I didn't know those were infected people. I just knew they were pixels, and I shot them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got the achievement for killing things. Yay! That's what I was here for. Have a nice day.
It's a Ratalaika game. You're there for achievements.
It's fine.
They have a target audience, and they are catering to them fantastically.
I'm sure somewhere out there in the world, there's like one dude who totally gets into like all the Ratalaika games, and they're like, I love this one. This is my favorite. I played all 140 levels. And then there's the rest of us who are like, man, we know what we're doing here. We're in, we're out. Bitch, bye.
24 minutes and delete.
Thank you. Next. You know, we're just waiting for the next one. And that's fine. That's a perfectly fine way to promote games. If it's making you money, roll with it. The biggest question is, does it play well? Yeah. If you want to go in, it's almost like a roguelike. I was surprised by that. You can buy permanent upgrades in it, but your little dude is just like running through a space station, trying to get as fucking far as he can without falling through the floor. Did you do that? I fell through the floor so many times.
Yeah, I fell through a couple of times with the dudes that blow themselves up. I think it was a trap.
Like, I think I was getting too far, and it was just mad at me. It was like, fuck you, watch this. And it would just pull the rug out from under me, literally. I think that's what was happening. I was too good for this game, and it was like, no, we know what kind of game we are, and you shouldn't be able to get this far. And it shut my cookie operation down. I was appalled. But basically, the big giant ass space station is split into sections. You don't particularly know when you swap the section. Like, you can't say, oh, I'm about to come up on a new section.
Yeah, it'll just a wall will pop up behind you. Yeah, and you're like, oh, I'm done.
Cross it, wall comes up, you're like, sayonara, suckers. And then you carry on, and you just hope you get to the next one. I actually had to go back and grind the kill achievements. Those were the last ones I got, because you can unlock things in the shop, like a shield, and then you can continue to unlock upgrades for it. You can unlock a booster that gives you a speed boost, and I went for those first.
Man, fuck the speed boost. I hate that thing.
I was like, you just clearing through shit.
I hated the speed boost. It was too fast for me.
Did you get motion sick?
No, it was just too quick to control.
You kept running into the lasers, didn't you?
Oh, of course. And the spikes.
You said that.
I am.
I did fine. I wanted that speed boost. I wanted to get the fuck through there as fast as I could. But the problem is that, like, because you don't know when you're about to hit another room, it's all just flat. And so like I would be like with that speed boost, and then like the wall would come up and all the enemies were on the other side of it and I couldn't kill them anymore. So then I purposely had to keep playing after I had went through 100 sections because I still only had like 30 enemy kills, and I was like, well, fuck.
Well, that's your own fault.
Yeah, but I still went through the game in like 20 minutes. And I, you know what though? I had a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And it didn't crash, and it didn't lag, and it jumped when I fucking told it to jump, and it shot when I fucking told it to shot. And I wasn't mad about it.
Me neither.
So
$5, I say buy it.
Yeah. Sit down, knock you out an easy completion, and carry on.
Have fun doing it. All right, next game to talk about is Jalopy, developed by Minskworks, published by Excalibur Games, released November 1st on Xbox One for $14.99, so it'll be out next week. Navigate miles and miles of tire changing, fuel burning, carburetor busting, mud clattering terrain through night and day, rain and shine. Adapt to whatever the procedurally generated world of Jalopy can throw at you. Cole, tell us about Jalopy.
This game is cruel and deceptive. It is basically a low poly car mechanic simulator with a heavy emotional narrative and some roguelike elements in a way. Aki said she was ready over an hour ago. Sucks to be you. Basically, the story is fresh off the fall of the Berlin Wall, and you and your elderly uncle are trying to get across Germany to reunite with some family. But before you can do all that, you have to get your little rust bucket going, and your little rust bucket is a Leica 601 Deluxe. It goes a whopping 0 to 60 in 22 and a half seconds flat. I don't think I ever hit 60 in mine.
Yeah, that's a Jalopy.
Because it's a fucking 2-cylinder motor. Like, a Geo Tracker was a 4-cylinder, guys. What were the little tiny the Geo Metro? Even those are 4 cylinders. This Jalopy is some shit. It's got a fucking motorcycle engine. Not even a motorcycle engine. That's a fucking, like,
lawnmower
chainsaw
engine.
motor. Yeah. Because you even have to mix the gas in it. Like, you gotta mix the gas with the oil in the motor like a damn chainsaw.
Oh my god, so it is a lawnmower.
And if you don't get the ratio right, like, you can optimally mix it, or you can push your luck and like put a little less oil in there and go faster, but risk blowing the fuck up.
How many times did you blow up?
I went for the optimal because I'm smart. But it didn't matter because that fucking car is going to break down anyway. It to the point that one day I attempted to go. I had put everything together. You have to put your tires on. Then your uncle's like, I think we're going to need some money. Here's $100. And I'm like, that is not going to be enough to get us across Germany. Because I know things. You know, he's like, here's your map. Once you pick your destination, you're ride or die, bitch. He doesn't quite put it this way, but trust me, that's his implication.
You're ride or die, bitch.
We were cruising down the highway. I was so proud of myself. I was like, man, I remembered to put some gas in my trunk. I was prepared for this. I even brought some extra water for the water pump in case it decided to spring a leak, because you just never fucking know. And I'm like cruising down the road, and then the thing starts smoking, and I don't know why, but it stops. And I'm like, well, guess I'm hoofing it. I walked to the next city. You're not supposed to do that in this game. But I walked to the next city. I bought the part I needed, and I walked fucking back to the car and put it in. Because I was determined.
Fuck the rules. I'm doing what I want.
But I think it's impressive it let me do it, because that's clearly not the intention, but I was determined. Like, it had the one damn part I didn't take with me was what was broken. It was something with the carburetor. And I was just like, I'm going to go buy a fucking carburetor. And I did. And I was so proud of myself when I got that motherfucker started and going back on the road again. And that's the experience that the game wants you to have. You can just throw in the towel and be like, I ain't getting this thing to where I'm going. And you can click restart and it'll take you home. And your uncle will be like, well, looks like we're going to need a little more money. And he gives you some more money. And he's like, bitch, try it again. But that's implied. And so you fix up the car and you go again. Which is all well and good, but I was just like determined to break it and not go back. After I got set back the first time, I was like, never again. I will walk everywhere if I have to. So I didn't make it all the way to the wall though. I got an impressive distance before I was like, boy, this is far harder than it should be. And to be fair, it was my own fault, because the concept is you get to your destination each day and then you can maybe buy some upgraded parts, because your uncle just keeps going, hey, we need a little more money. And I don't know where he's getting it from, but hey, thanks. We're good. This will buy, like an upgraded motor. I wasn't buying upgraded motors. I was just like, give me whatever's cheap to get me to the next 5 miles. That's a bad strategy.
Yeah,
Nobody told me this was a strategy game. The interesting
life
thing, though,
is a strategy game.
The strategy and like the patience and like all the care that you put into trying to get that car to its next fucking destination, you get attached to the little rust bucket. And like, you break down and you're sitting there looking at it going, I will get you wherever you need to be. No matter what it takes. And then you start hoofing it, because what the fuck else you gonna do? Played perfectly. It does have that, low poly, desaturated appearance that really seems to be popular as fuck right now. But it helps with the simplicity of it, because they really could have gone overboard and like gone full car mechanic simulator and like made me want to pull my hair out. But because it was just like, oh, here's a tar, click here to put it on, it was far more manageable, especially given that you break down like every 30 seconds. But
oh boy.
Yeah. So for Jalopy, I give it a buy it. I did not expect to have as much fun with it. I also didn't expect for it to be as difficult. But it was a manageable difficulty. It was difficult because I kept making bad decisions, and so it was on me, not the game. So I can't give it...
You fucked up. You fucked up.
I can't knock it for that. It was literally like, wow, I really did some shit I should not have done.
Oh man. All right. Well, next up we got to get Dark Mika in here, so let's add her to the call.
I'm going to fall asleep while we're doing this.
Let's see here. Let's add her in. It is calling. It is dialing. It is...
Oh my god.
There we go. Monsters!
Why? Why do you sound like you're in a barrel, Lucky?
Oh,
there for your safety. Does she not sound like she's in one of those blue plastic murder barrels?
what?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like every fucking murder show. See, every fucking murder show, like they're like, this person was disappeared for not missing, this disappeared. This person was disappeared for 10 years, and then suddenly we dug up the neighbor's backyard and we found a blue barrel full of ammonia and lye and a corpse. And you're like, yeah, that's a murder barrel, duh. The moment you see that barrel, you know somebody died in it.
Well, it's usually used for crude oil and sometimes used for other
Murder.
useful things.
No, it's only
Blood.
ever used for murder.
Well, there's some blood in its useful usage, but anyways.
It's a murder barrel. It's funny because I actually have a couple on the property, but we use them for rainwater collection.
Yeah, sure
But
you do.
I enthusiastically refer to them as my murder barrels, and Dee is always like, "Please don't."
Okay.
Please don't say that in public.
And I'm like, "No, but that's what it is." Because I'll be like, "Oh, I need another murder barrel for my chicken coop," and he'll be like, "No, not until you stop calling it that."
Well, I mean, you could use it as a murder barrel for the chicken coop, even. I mean, you have to get fried chicken somehow.
There was a homesteader I watched on YouTube, and they butchered their pigs, but they weren't able to get them to the butcher because the butcher was already closed. And so, like, he has this cold room in his house, and then, like, he shows the cold room on the video, and it's just stock full of murder barrels, and they're full of dead pigs. And I was like,
Wow, this show took a dark turn.
Is
murder
it bad
barrel.
that I'm not bothered by any of this whatsoever? This is just amusing for me.
Well, talking about death makes sense because the next game to talk about is called Felix the Reaper, developed by Kong Orange, published by Daedalic Entertainment, released October 17th on Xbox One, Switch, PS4, and PC for $24.99. It's also available as part of Xbox Game Pass. Felix the Reaper is a romantic comedy about the life of death. It's brought to you as a 3D shadow manipulation puzzle adventure game of dance, dying people, and dangerous love. Aki, tell us about it.
Okay. You play as a brand new Grim Reaper named Felix. And he took the job specifically because he wanted to get in the pants of an angel of life, I guess is what they call it. I can't remember. And so he's hoping that by killing people, she'll be around to bring life to replace the person who just died. He's hoping he'll meet her. Aww.
Aww.
He's murdering for love.
Aww.
I bet he puts people in barrels.
Actually, I have not found... He uses barrels a lot, but I haven't seen him toss a person in one.
See, they're murder barrels.
That's where all the
You don't-
bodies are.
You don't see the murder. Yeah, you don't see the murder. It's just the after effect of the murder.
Oh, no, in this, you see the deaths. Every last one.
Oh, I know. I've seen the trailers. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, though.
Oh, it's great. And on top of that, you end up... Felix is basically weird to all the other Reapers because he likes music and he's constantly dancing, which is absolutely fucking adorable. He's like the little Pillsbury Doughboy of death. It's just fantastic. I love it so much. And you have the best boss in the world, Sir Patrick Stewart. And yes, for everyone who doesn't know, it is Sir. Fuck you. He's been knighted. He's amazing.
I know.
And the bad part is I don't even like Star Trek, but I do like his. His is the only one I really like. I don't care about any of the others, and it's just because of him. So, yeah. But, yeah, he's kind of a bumbling fool in this, which was unexpected, because he usually plays, very upstanding, smart individuals.
Do you not watch American Dad?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, he's fantastic on American Dad. And he's a moron on American Dad.
Oh, who's he play on American Dad?
Stan's boss.
Oh, shit. Well, now I know I need to start watching American Dad. Yay, something new to watch. Now, in this game, if you choose to accept it, or even if you don't, it doesn't really fucking matter, because fuck you. What you're doing is you're trying to kill people in the way that they're supposed to be killed. Because it's not like you're just willy-nilly going in and saying, okay, I'm going to drop a piano on this motherfucker's head. No, there's actually a written, basically an obituary from the future. And you have to create the scenario in which they'll die that specific way. And all of these are set up as acts. I think there's 6 of them. And there's various amounts of levels in each act. But each level is just basically putting together one piece of the puzzle that's going to be necessary in order to cause the death at the end of the act. For instance, one of the levels, a woman has eyes for a Hollywood star. Only has eyes for him. She's completely obsessed with the motherfucker. And one day he shows up near her. Well, she's supposed to die. And the obituary reads something like, she only had eyes for him. If she ever bothered to look up, she'd have survived. And like the very first level, the first part of it is you gotta get I think it was a cart pulled by a scooter. You need to get that the fuck out the way so she can see him in the first place. And that's all it is. It's just the first level, that's it. That's all you're trying to do, is to get that thing fucking moved out the way so she will see him. And then the second level, something like getting oil dropped on the ground. The next one's putting the dog in the way of the oil so someone will swerve to avoid the dog and then hit the oil. And then she dies. And it's fabulous, actually. It's really funny. I might be a bit of a sadist. I enjoy these types of games. They amuse me. But there's, I think, 6 acts, and each one has between, I think, 6 and 4 levels, I think is the lowest. And it's just a random smattering. Like, the first act has 6 levels in it. So it's not like it starts off small and gets larger, or starts off large and gets smaller. It's just random. And, you know, it's pretty fantastic there. Every level you're supposed to get an item, just depending on what it is. Either you're trying to move an item or get another item to a specific place. Like, as I said, the oil, you have to pick it up and you have to put it in a specific place, or moving the cart, things like that. Every level has something like that in it. And at the end of the level, you get graded, because obviously this is your job. You gotta get good marks or you're a failure. And you get marks by, one, getting it done quickly. There's a time limit for each level that it wants you to hit that or under. They're not particularly hard once you figure out what you're doing. You can get it done well under the time, and my ass is slow. And I still get them well under the time once I figure out how to fucking do them. Another part is, you have to stay in the shadows the entire time. If you get in the light, he's a demon. He apparently isn't good with light. So you don't get him in the sun. That's another one of the things that you're supposed to do. And to avoid the sun, you can actually rotate the sun 90 degrees from where it is. It just switches between one of 2 positions. And that moves the shadows, obviously. Well, you also get graded on how many times you fucking do that, how many actions you take, how many steps you take. So you get all these under the amount that it asks, and you get skulls on your report card, I guess is what you'd call it. And I think there's 3 of them, 3 skulls you can get for every level. And I don't know if there's actually a purpose to doing that, other than there's an achievement for it. But
well, that's the purpose then.
Yeah, I have each act tells you how many of the skulls you've gotten out of the max total that you can get in that level. And I haven't actually gotten to the point where I've maxed it out. So I don't know if there's an extra something that happens or not. After you beat an act, you not only have the obituary, which is given to you at the beginning, but you also have a little letter that Felix has written to the to the big fat angel that he loves. So that's a little extra that you get after you beat the act. So I don't know if there's something after getting all those skulls. But to get all of them, you have to do all the normal levels, which are what I've been talking about this whole time. Then you also have to turn around and complete them all on hard. And they are seriously fucking hard. However, thankfully, I don't think that it actually counts the time you took or how many times you turned the sun or any of that bullshit. However, you have to collect some coins that are in the level. I think 3 are in all of them. And do whatever you were supposed to do in the level. That shit's hard. I beaten 1 on that, and that was with a fucking guide, and I didn't get any of the fucking coins.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to use a guide, and it was obviously by the person that we all know for guides, Maka. So I used his to do that because there was an achievement for beating a hardcore level in under 40 seconds, and Jesus Christ, it's so hard. Sat there for like a half hour trying to do this. Oh, Jesus, it was so difficult.
Oh, you achievement whores.
Yeah, but so after you beat all the hardcore ones, then I believe you should have enough to get the max. I don't know if it gives you anything after that. I hope it does, because I really want to be working towards something other than just a fucking achievement. I did have a couple of minor gripes about it. The hardcore mode, you have to beat the normal mode to unlock it. Yay, yippee. It's sometimes really hard to see stuff in all the modes, but sometimes the coins are really hard to see. Because I've actually tried to play a couple of them, and it's sometimes hard to see them because they're slightly translucent, or maybe they're just dark in the shadow, so they're kind of hard to see. And how you move the camera in the game is kind of a pain in the ass, because you can zoom it in and out and you can turn it around. It's always isometric, but it just doesn't, you can't change how quickly it moves, how quickly it zooms in and out, how quickly it goes around in a circle. You can't control any of that, and just sometimes it feels like it goes so fucking slow. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, minor gripes aside, $25 on Felix the Reaper. What are you thinking about it?
I think it's worth it. You have both those modes to play through, and there's also a timed mode which you unlock at some point somehow. I don't know because I haven't seen it. So you have to play through. There's 20 levels in the game. You get to play through it 3 different times, and they are, at least between normal and hardcore, they are effectively completely different fucking levels. So you're getting a lot. And you're definitely going to be spending more than 25 hours on this fucking thing unless you have a guide and you're following it and you're perfect at it. And if you are, fuck you. So yeah, I think it's totally worth it. I thought it was adorable.
Awesome. Next game to talk about is Nanotale Typing Chronicles, developed and published by Flying Cactus. It released October 23rd on Steam for $14.99. Something is wrong with the heart of magic. Play a young archivist. I am terrible. There's some words that you're just terrible with, and archivist is one of them. I always want to say archivist.
Yeah, I used to be really bad at specifically, so.
Yeah, anyway, venturing out into a dying world, cataloging its mysteries and its wonders to unearth the truth. What truth are you looking for?
Honestly, I have no fucking clue. I will preface this to everybody and point out that when I started playing this, it wasn't even in early access. It just recently came to early access. And up until recently, the game didn't save and let you continue. So you had to restart the game from the very fucking beginning every time you played it. So, and the story wasn't completely actually filled out at that point. I don't know if it is yet. I assume it's the
beauty of early access games. So
yeah. So originally, like the very first set of scenes, it had placeholders for. So I don't actually know what the secret is or anything.
Wow.
So I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm sure it's all there now because I've gone through some of those scenes and they are fine now. So, but I don't know how far even into the game I am. I've played it for hours, but I know there's another biodome that I haven't even seen yet, so I don't have any idea. You're playing as just a person. I'm not even completely sure it's a human, because you can't really see your character that well. Everyone else kinda, sorta looks humanoid at least. But you can use magic, which I also don't know if that's normal or not for your people, because you only have yourself and one person who teaches you the very beginning of the basics of the game for like 3 minutes. You see them, and that's the only people that I know of that are from wherever the fuck you're from, because you just start out, you're in the fucking forest, cataloging giant fungi, basically. So I don't know anything about where this character comes from, so I don't know if their ability to use magic is normal, but they can fuck shit up with magic. And very soon into cataloging fungus and other plants, you come across this gigantic, cute, adorable, giant, sadly dying fox, and you try to protect it from some nasties. And you don't succeed, but then the fox becomes a spirity thing and gets you out of there. I don't know why it does that either, but, hey, it's cute, and now you have a spirit fox, so whatever. I don't care. It's adorable. I accept that. The whole game is basically just exploring and cataloging the plants, animals, and other oddities you find, like giant stones that have scriptures on them and stuff like that. Because no one's ever been this far into the forest. It's actually apparently forbidden by her people to go this far. So, of course, that's where the fox brought you. Because why not bring you in the one place you're not supposed to fucking be? So you're cataloging everything because you're like, that's what I do for a living. Yeah! And every so often, I don't know what provides you this, but sometimes you just gain new magic abilities. I don't know why. I don't even know when exactly I get them. I just occasionally suddenly notice, oh shit, I have new magic. Most of them are used very specifically just to solve tiny little puzzles, very basic ones, like you have to push fog away. So you have an ability that's push and pull. And that's literally what it does. It pushes and pulls shit. And part of that is it can knock away this fog that's around. Apparently, supposedly, from what a live stream from one of the devs, I think it was, had, you apparently eventually get fire as well as the power. I haven't gotten to that point. I can't wait because I want to burn all the things. I'm a terrible human being. I'm fine with that.
Pyromaniac. Stay away from Cole's oil.
Actually, I used to have a lighter when I was in high school, and all I did was just light things on fire in my room. So, yeah, a little bit. I was not a good kid. The whole game is based on typing. So if you don't like typing or you're dog shit at typing, I don't know if you're going to really like this game. Because in order to catalog stuff, there's words over the plants. You type them, it catalogs as it. Poof. Fighting enemies. Words appear over their heads. You type them, it does damage. Etc., etc. Everything is type the shit, and the shit gets done. It's all about tip-tappity tap-tap. That's it. So it's not going to be for everyone. I love it. I've been waiting for this game for literally over a fucking year. The words that are chosen are at random. It's taken from a dictionary that's in the game. And I assume eventually, like the first game, you'll be able to edit it, adding more words or making every word just one button A, which I did for an achievement in the first game.
Again, with the achievements.
Yes, I'm an achievement whore. I don't care. Sometimes the words are short, like sometimes one of them I can remember off the top of my head is ARC, A-R-C. Other times, Jesus Christ, they are long words, and so, half of them I can't even pronounce. I don't know what the fuck they are.
I want them to have a word on there like pneumona ultramicroscopic silica volcano cone God damn it. I used to be able to say that really well. Pneumona ultramicroscopic silica volcanoconiosis. There it is.
What the fuck does that mean?
I forget.
You know the word. Oh, you're supposed to, when you have a giant word like that, you're supposed to remember what it means, and it's supposed to be something stupid.
I wonder if I could look it up while you're still talking.
Can you even remember how to fucking spell that? I can't even remember what you said anymore. It was so long. All I remember is super and microscopic was in the word, and that's it.
Referring to a lung disease caused by silica dust. There you go.
Okay, so something nice and short. They should just said that. It'd be so much faster. This game is it's good for pretty much people of all ages. It's the story so far isn't, it doesn't use a lot of big words or anything, and it teaches you how to type better and more quickly. And eventually, hopefully, they'll change the keyboards for people who have different types of keyboards than what the people in the US have, because I know there's other key arrangements. Right now, it does not have access to change those yet, but that is coming.
Well, again, the joys of early access.
Yeah. They're pretty quick with updating this too. I mean, in the past week, I've probably had 12 updates to this fucking thing.
Wow.
And none of them are they're not gigs big. They're 100 megabits here and there, and that's it. They're nice, quick ones, but they do a lot when they go in.
Nice.
One actually added the RPG element, so you can level up, and you can even. Every time you level up, you can choose one of 3 skills, and they're kind of cool. Some of them, when you do damage to an enemy, it'll knock them back. One of them was it'll add lore to your map, so you know where another piece of lore for you to catalog is. What was some others? Others did damage to specific enemies, so on and so forth. It's nice and cool. When I first started playing, it didn't have any of that. And then they did an update that added that, and it only had, once you leveled to 3, you couldn't play anymore because they didn't have another skill to add, and literally everything you did raised you a level. So it kind of broke the game real quick for that update, and then they fixed that. And
damn.
Yeah. Yeah, but they put out updates constantly for this. It's real fast, it's real nice, and if you went in on the early access, it's $15. And if you have and right now, since it's still technically pre-ordery time, you get 10% off. And if you own the first one, which personally I think is currently anyways, because this one's not done, I really like the first one. Its story was nice. It's obviously better than one that's still in progress. So. Yeah, if you have that, it's also another 10% off, and that one's permanent. So if you have the first game, it's going to be cheaper. And if you have the first game and you want to get into it and check out the early access, it's even cheaper. Yay!
Hooray!
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's worth keeping an eye on. It's really good, and they're constantly getting updates out, and they talk a lot on the forums, on Steam forums. So if you have an issue or you have a question, they'll get to you within a day easily. So yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's definitely one to keep your eyes on. And when it gets full release, I will review it. So
right. Well, in early access, is it worth dropping the $15? Yay, nay?
I think so. I think it's getting updates fast enough. And I believe most of the content's already in there because they were already talking, again, in that live stream that I was talking about earlier. It seemed like they already had a couple biodomes set up at least. So I think a good chunk of the story is there. It may not be completely finished, but I think there's enough there that, yeah, I think it's worth it.
Awesome. Next game to talk about is called Heist, developed and published by Atomizer Games. It released September 27th on Steam for $18.99. Heist is a noir cat burglar game where you step into the shoes of a cat burglar in the pursuit of infamy. Aided by your array of trusty tools of the trade, your goal is simple. Get in, get it, get out. Not Cole. Mika, tell us about it.
Let's say, I am
Cole, tell us about it right now.
Yet.
No, thanks. I'm good.
Mika, tell us about it.
Heist is an isometric stealth game, and you play as a thief named Thief, because who needs a fucking name? It's his profession. That's good enough. You have no real skills in the game whatsoever. You can hide in the dark if that's a skill, but every 2-year-old has that ability, so I don't know. You can't fight, knock out, or kill anybody in it, which adds to the difficulty, because if you can't kill every guard in the level, it gets real hard to just bypass them constantly. If you're caught, you end up running like a bitch because, again, can't do anything to these people. So yeah, either run till you get away or until they sack your ass like a linebacker. And they really do sack you. It looks painful. As you go through levels, you get new gear. You start off with some coins, cherry bombs, and a couple of tripwires. And at the end of every level, you just get a new piece to your arsenal. I think like there was pep pills or adrenaline shots, steel-toed boots, a pipe so you could blow smoke everywhere. So yeah, every level after you beat it, you just get one new piece that you can use in the previous levels as well as continuing in the future. So they're unlocked permanently for every level. I think there's 8 levels, maybe 8, 9 levels, something like that. And this game is very much for stealth gamers, like just stealth gamers. No one else is probably going to like this game because it is fucking so hard. I love it, but everyone else is going to fucking hate this game because you have to sit there and wait and wait. You have to learn the fucking guards' little patterns, which thankfully aren't complex. They're usually just, they walk here to there, and they stop at certain times, or they'll walk through this room and they stop at these different places for this many seconds each. You have to remember that shit so you can get the fuck through there, because there might be like 5, 6 fucking guards in the same vicinity. You need to find the way to get past all of them motherfuckers without them seeing you, or you're fucked.
So this is about patience and strategy.
Yes, and sticking to the shadows like a fly sticks to shit. So, yeah, I don't know. This is a very niche game because of that, because I just don't think many people have the patience to sit there and just sit there. I've spent like a half hour in some of these levels, and that was me rushing it as fast as I could. I've spent close to 2 hours on some of these levels on my first playthrough, just trying to get through. Failed, had to restart it, spent another hour or so in it over and fucking over again.
Oh, so, man.
Yeah. To me, that's not a big deal. I kind of like that. Especially in Steam games where I can cheat like a motherfucker. And once I got that pipe, oh my god, my world opened up. Especially when I gave myself the ability to infinitely use it. Yes! But if you're playing it legit, you have 3 uses of that motherfucker and good fucking luck. It is so hard. Again, there's a couple issues with this one for me. And one of them's just kind of a quality of life nitpicky thing. When you start the game, every single time you start it, it puts you with your beginning 3 equipment, the coins, cherry bombs, and trip mines. It also starts you at the tutorial level. At that point, you can click on that and bring it all the way back to the last level you were on, and you can obviously go back and change your equipment, but you have to do it every fucking time. It doesn't just save the stuff at what you were using and where you were last at. It puts you right at the beginning, and you have to re-equip everything and everything. It's not bad until you've had to do it like the 20th, 30th fucking time, because it's just really fucking annoying to do. And then there's also checkpoints in the game, which kind of, like, I like the fact that there are checkpoints, but I don't quite like how it's set up. If you hit a checkpoint and say your GPU crashes, like what keeps happening to me when I play the game, because it requires a good GPU, but the rest of its stats are really low, which is really weird, but whatever. When you go back into the game, it didn't actually save. It just made a checkpoint. So if you leave that level, like if you exit it, or the game crashes, or your computer crashes, or whatever,
you start over.
Yeah, you have to start it from the very beginning of that level all over again. It's like, but it was a checkpoint. Oops. Sorry about that. That was my alarm. God, that scares me every time.
Wake up.
No, that's my alarm to go take my pills. So,
Take your pills.
yeah, I'll do that afterwards. Fuck, where was I? God, that scared me so bad. I hate that. But yeah, it doesn't save the checkpoint stuff. There's no saving in the level, and that bothers me because whilst yes, that would make the game a bit easier because then you could save, and if you went a bad route, it'd be fine. You could just crash it and load it back up without it counting against you. But it'd be more of a quality of life upgrade just to be able to save whenever you wanted, or at the checkpoints for it to actually make a physical save that it would turn around and load when you started it again. Make it so much better. Those are really the only two issues I have with the game. Is just they're both just quality of life issues that would just make everything a lot better. So,
well, yeah. $19. What do you say?
I think it's weird that it's $19. Let's just talk about that for a second. Why the hell is it $19? That's so weird. We
had one the other week that was $21.99. What the hell's with that price?
See, when they do shit like that, it's weird. I don't get it. Like, if it was 20 or 15, I'd get that, but 19 is just a weird number. I don't know where they got that, but I do think it's worth it if you like stealth games. If you do not like stealth games, I don't care if it was $2. You don't want to get it because this is not an easy stealth game at all. It is very difficult, and it's made to be difficult. It is a punishing stealth game. If you're into that, oh yeah, totally worth it. If you're not, don't come near it.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. Always a pleasure having you on, chatting about stuff. Cole, do you have anything else to say to her?
No.
No.
I am the queen of the world.
Aki, got any final words before we let you go?
I'm better at games than Cole.
Cole, any rebuttal?
No, I just want to go to bed.
I win.
All right, and final game to talk about tonight is called Warbital, developed by Team Jolly Roger, published by Team Jolly Roger, and Advanced Interactive Gaming. It released October 18th on the Xbox One for $12.99. Warbital is a space war in real time with tension-filled gameplay and gravitational destruction. Each player commandeers a planet, building support structures and increasingly powerful weapons. Use your weaponry to destroy enemy planets and wreak total havoc to the solar system. The goal, be the last civilization standing. Checking this one out, Jacob Garner, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Long show. I'm ready for it to end.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I'm looking forward to rubbing some icy hot on my back because I've had back issues for the last 2 days. So,
Back or nipples?
Well, actually, in the crotchal region.
Sweet.
Yeah, because nothing says like an exciting evening like rubbing icy hot all over your junk and then seeing if you can do a Pornhub challenge before it really kicks in.
My gosh. That sounds dangerous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Monster!
Monster!
See, Cole, the thing is that it's the element of danger that really makes it worthwhile. And then, if you can make it through, that icy part, can you make it through the hot part? It's a challenge all on its own.
Man.
I like how Jacob didn't get the monsters joke, though.
I know.
It's okay. We got it. That's all that matters.
I was going to say, that's from last episode, isn't it?
It's so good.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole episode.
Monkey King. Monster! Chris linked me to a video of it. I skipped to like 30 minutes into it, and within 10 seconds, I heard monsters!
What video? What do I want to know what this video was?
It was just a playthrough of that Monkey King game or Monkey Hero, whatever it was. I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally the kid just hollers, monsters, all the time.
The kid or in the game?
In the game.
The kid in the game.
Kid in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Monkey King Hero is back. That's the name of it.
Yeah. Well, I remember making the tweet about it because THQ Nordic released it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was vaguely interested in like checking it out because I had to write a bunch of stuff up on Legend of the Monkey King when I was in college the first time around. And so I was just like, oh, sweet, maybe I'll check this out. And then I read the reviews and I'm like, okay.
Anyway, we're getting off subject here.
Did it even come out for the Xbox? I don't think
Monkey
it did.
King? No, it didn't.
Oh, well, then I'll just never check it out ever.
Yeah,
apparently.
but Warbital did.
Warbital, in fact, did.
It did. So how is it? We should probably talk about the game that I introduced 3 minutes ago.
Or we could just talk about games from podcast past. I'm sure that, the game makers will really enjoy that.
Team Jolly Rogers listening right now, and they're like, these assholes.
They're just sitting there with a stopwatch, and they're like, they talked about our game for all of 1:59. Meanwhile, they talked about Monkey King. Let's see, they talked about it for about 15 minutes last podcast, and they talked about it for another 10 this one. They didn't even like the game.
Chris liked it.
Not to mention the Pornhub challenge.
Oh,
there
Jesus.
Yeah. We're just never going to get games from anyone ever again.
We're not. Team Jolly Rogers is going to be like never blacklisted. Advanced Interactive Gaming is never again.
We're only ever going to get Leisure Suit Larry games to review.
It was fun while it lasted. So anyway,
right.
Warbital. Tell us about Warbital. How is it?
All right. So Warbital, it's an interesting game. I believe it actually came out on PC first. And to me, that kind of makes sense because what it is that you're in the solar system and you have these like different planets that you and these an AI, or if you're playing online, you can have other people battling against you. And pretty much you just have to like build weapons on these like 8 areas of your planet. I think it's 8. It might be 10. I think it's 8 though.
It's
and
a number.
You can build
one
weapons, you can build refineries, and as like you survive longer and you have more money, you can upgrade to tiers, and then you can like get different tiers of weapons. Like first level, you have like a rail gun, which I'll be honest, like it wasn't particularly powerful, but I found it to, work the best. Pretty much not like work the best, but I found it to be the most accurate. Like level 2, you can get like homing missiles and stuff like that. And then tier 3 is nothing but like a nuclear missile, which you have to pilot yourself, which is strategically dangerous because while it's insanely powerful, you also have to stop messing with your planet to pilot the thing through the solar system. So you either need to be like right next to the other planet doing it, or you have to be really fucking sure of yourself. So there's a lot of strategy involved with it. It's almost like a scorched earth, except you're
teasing me by saying scorched earth.
That's actually a really good description. Think of it like you were playing Scorched Earth while also playing Universe Sandbox on Steam. If you ever played that, like, have you ever messed with that thing before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
You're asking me if I played a Steam something.
Shut up. All right. It's a simulation thing. It's awesome. Everyone needs to go get it. Anyways, it's like Universal Sandbox is like, it's a sandbox of the universe. And like they have like, and you can like set up like the solar system or galaxies and stuff like that. And then just like fuck with like gravity and like massive things and stuff like that. Anyway, back to Warbital. So not only are you trying to aim at the other planets, but sometimes your weapons won't reach it, so you can do other stuff, like you could damage other like non-civilized planets where like nobody's on them, and you can get points for that. But also like by blowing off chunks of those planets that are big enough, you can send them flying elsewhere into the solar system, and sometimes you can get hit. You can hit the other opponents with that, or you can get hit yourself. So it depends on how squirrely you're feeling on that. And then it's just you're revolving around the sun and trying to kill everybody. it's an interesting game. I don't know. Like, here's my thing. I didn't really dig it. I found it a little bit too busy for my liking. However, I could see like there being a decent population that likes it. It also felt like it really needs a keyboard and mouse to really respond to everything. And I just felt the controller was just not a good fit for it.
Did you try a keyboard and mouse? I know some games on Xbox support it.
I don't have a keyboard and mouse to try it with. So
makes me
I
wonder
did not.
if they have support or if they might add support. So Team Jolly Roger, if you're still listening, if you made it this far, mouse and keyboard support might be cool.
Yeah, because I could definitely see that working with the game. But it was just like, it has a lot of interesting ideas, and I really appreciated those. However, like the controls were just wonky, and at the same time, it's probably best to just sit there and practice with the AI before even delving into the campaign, because the campaign missions for me were going on like 20 to 40 minutes each.
Wow.
And I'm just, and the thing is that I was expecting this to be like a quick game of Scorched Earth, where it's like, you can kill everybody within minutes.
Yeah.
And this thing, I'm just like, wow, like either I'm sucking real hard at this because of the learning curve, which is natural for me. Or it's just like, holy God, there's a lot to this game that you just really can't do on a controller.
Low column A, low column B.
Yeah. It's a game I'm recommending, but I don't know. If there's a way for you to try it, it's not for everyone. And if you could try it before you buy it, I'd recommend that. My only other issue with the game was that the lettering typeset, however you refer to it, was way too damn small. Like almost like they expected everyone that playing to either be sitting in front of like a 50-foot screen TV, or sorry, not 50-foot, 50-inch screen TV, or 50 they expected you to be sitting in front of your laptop screen. Which again, if this came out on computer, that would make sense,
Yeah.
For the record,
yeah.
The Microsoft Store says it does have mouse and keyboard support.
Ooh.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
So there's that. However, it's just like, I'm thinking of like people who, either don't have a particularly big TV. Like if you've got like a 36, 40-inch TV, the font size is going to be incredibly tiny for that. And so it's just like, if you don't have the right size TV, or if you're visually impaired, you may be having problems with this game. And on top of it, with just how busy your Planet Radial map is just, I don't know, that could become it could become pretty hectic real fast, and not just because it's a strategy game.
Yeah. Well, overall, $13. What's your official verdict?
Official verdict, I recommend it. Again, it's not for everybody, but I think it's a solid title that you should definitely at least check out.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, that is it for this episode. Oh, God, it has been a fucking long one.
That's what she said.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Another thing.
You can't hand me lines like that, Cole.
Got to give another shout out to Tom, Gossamer Games, for coming on chatting with us about Soul. That was a really fun chat. Go check out the game. It's available now. Thanks to Dark Mika for coming on doing her reviews. Jacob, thanks to you for coming on doing your thing.
Hi, you thanked me.
Yeah, I kind of have to.
Oh.
I don't like you. I have to thank you, though, because you did work for me.
Haha. That's
Dickhead, do you have any final words to end the show?
I do, actually. So, whoever's been paying attention to Joe's Facebook feed, guess what? Not my next review, but my review after that, we're going country.